Hello everyone, and welcome to this evening's matches, bringing you all the action from this last chance lobby here in PMCI Season 3. So glad to have you guys here with us tonight. Some great action incoming here. And me and Red Eyes bringing all the good fun here to you. Red Eyes, what's going on, man? Great to see you here.
What's going on, Brother Beans? You missed our Black Eyed... the long-awaited concert. We're going to be doing strictly death metal impersonations of Get It Started, and that's it. But other than that, man, I am so stoked to be here for the PMCI, man. This has been a long time coming, the dynamic duo in the works, but we have got an absolute round table of heavy hitters today, Beans. I couldn't be more excited.
Absolutely. This is definitely going to be a great one. Let's go ahead and have a look at this slot list again tonight. You guys can see there are some great looking teams on this one. The likes of N-Hyper, Dauntless in this one. We got 9Z. We got a few other great ones in here. We actually have our plane in the sky right now. We're going to go ahead and jump into it and have a look at what these teams are looking at.
Yeah, so we're obviously going to be kicking things off. Ooh, how do you guys like that? That double. My apologies, Beans. We got the map here. It's going to be a relatively simplistic path. I mean, it's not going to be anything overly centralized, but the good thing about it being over that eastern half is it leaves a decent number of compounds to choose from. So it does mean that we might be getting maybe a slower pace to the first half of the match, but if that happens, anyone who's ever seen me commentate knows I like the trade for a more action-packed in-game. But realistically, I don't see us getting a lot of... going to be pretty heavily intensified around the Novo, Yasnaya, and maybe Pmci areas.
Yes, absolutely. You can see that these guys are going for those named areas right in the middle of the map right now. I think we may actually have something coming in here on a Pmci drop. Let's go ahead and see.
Yeah. Different areas of contestation. It does look around be members in Golden Eagles. Yeah, and Golden Eagles, as we know, definitely a team to be watching out for. Already, Rise readily equipped with that Bison 53 round 9mm clip, ready to lay that hailstorm of bullets out there.
Definitely. Here we go. We've already got him trading shots. Simple with some great shots through that window, hitting Rise with that scar right in his head. And you can see 9Z feeling good, getting that knock to begin with. We have Chaco there in the distance who is moving away, maybe not quite looted up as he would like right now.
Yeah, well, with Rise down, I mean, how much time do you really need your opponents to get looted here? I would think, realistically, as it was just an early drop, that it would be pretty reasonable to maybe you get a little bit hyper aggressive on the Eagles before they can get properly equipped. You know,
Absolutely.
lot of members probably lacking armor.
And that's one
Mellow
big thing.
already.
He's down. He is hurting there. The one big thing I will say is being able to leap on that opportunity when a team does land in there, can throw them off sometimes, can absolutely be a great strategy coming in there before they have a chance to get armored, before they have a chance to get looted up. Oh, and here's that push. Oh my goodness.
Well, an AK to the face.
And
sounds the same in every language.
Oh goodness, Piddle's getting hit in the side as he was trying to push. It was Scream Zoo there that took them down.
We'll talk about a bold move, pushing right openly through the field here. Now this would be if the Eagles actually had a decent amount of resources to their name. I think that would have probably put him in the line of fire. But Mello, as we already know, has his hands full with not a lot of health to work with here. M16 shotgun in hand. I mean, M16 for this stage in the game might not be too terrible in that mid-range confrontation. But the shotgun doesn't help much.
Here we go. Oh, shots on Scream coming up, knocks him out of the vehicle. And I think that M16 helped him out a lot there, was able to lay some good precision shots to his head.
Oof. Well, the S18 coming through in a clutch, but Mello surviving just barely by the hair on his chin, thanking his lucky stars, but he is not out of the thick of it yet. There is still more opponents from 9Z. I believe there's one up left. Let me double check on this. Yeah, actually we still have, yeah, one member up, and that's going to be Simple and Simple alone. The last hope for 9Z, and he is already cooking up a utility aimed outward for Mello, who's...
Oh, Simple with that nade. Dropped it right on him to finish it off. Wow.
Yeah, that was a... Martha Stewart herself could not have cooked a finer nade. Nicely done, Simple. And I know Chaco and Elite are thanking their lucky stars for their coin in the back pocket. Mr.
Yes.
Simple himself.
Definitely a good fight there. Non-Z Globant brought a good fight to them there, able to finish it off, taking out that last member, Golden Eagles.
Elsewhere, it doesn't seem to have any immediate points of contestation, but given the zone shift here, if we can have a look at that map, I'm not really sure what's going on with that. There we go.
There we go.
So,
sorry about that.
So much of the zone occupied by water here. I'm going to say at least 40%. So while our participants are certainly kicking their feet, going to be due for a mid-game, intense, action-packed, climactic mid-game, I would say.
Yes, absolutely.
Whether or not. Yeah, it's just gonna. So that water, you know, as everyone likes to compare Erangel and Miramar as both being, you know, 8x8s. Erangel just has so much more surface area being occupied by water. So this is a real problem until the next zone shift inland, if it does happen. This is a real problem for the participants. It's going to limit their real estate.
Well, it's about half the map not even available for these teams to move to. So yes, yep, definitely.
No room to run, no room to hide, brother Beans.
Well, it's going to be curious to see how they're going to play it now. What places are going to be prioritized now? I mean, we got some good named places near prisons out there. I haven't seen a good prison fight in a while. Oh, we do have two teams near each other. I see.
Taco Lovers and their eastbound opponents in Manic. But as you can see, Taco already continuing that flank rotation. Actually, it's not a rotation. It looks like it's just a migration.
Yes, there's definitely some chaos going on right now. These two have engaged each other just outside of shelter here. Wednesday tried to push up, separated from squad a little bit.
And you know, we might even be able to get another point of contestation. This looks like the Rude Dudes might be going at it here up against their opponents in 9Z, and 9Z not letting their foot off the pedal. As I say it, the caster curse is passed on to Mr. Chaco, but Elite and Simple still very much in the equation here.
Oh yes, this is definitely a big fight. You are absolutely right here, Red Eyes. A lot of action going on. Whitebeard now is getting pushed by Simple. 1v1, doesn't even get a shot off. Gets hit right to the chest and does end up going down. And that is going to be a most squad right there. 3 out of 4 members of Rude Dudes taken out. It looks like 9Z Globant definitely playing aggressive here to start this first match of the day.
Yeah, talk about setting the tone. I mean, realistically, this is, as we've seen kind of throughout the entirety of this season, this is very much in every sense of the word a marathon and not a sprint here. And so 9Z starting off pretty aggressively. For me, I think this is, if there was ever a time to do it, now in the grand finals, I mean, that's really the game one. Set the momentum, set the tone, and add that little bit of intimidation factor to the rest of the playing field.
Definitely. Starting out on the right foot is so important when it comes to these big stages, and this is the last chance lobby, so all of these teams could be facing elimination. You see 9Z Globant let that kind of motivate them, let that put a fire under them, and they have definitely performed here so far, already putting up 7 elims to start out this match.
You know, I mean, just to put it in perspective, stage 1 still has 3 minutes before concluding. 7 elims right off the bat is almost, I mean, I don't want to say astronomical because we have seen crazier things. And even in this season, we've seen some unbelievable elimination counts. Mm-hmm. But by any means, if they weren't to even acquire placement points, they've already got 7 points to take away from round 1 alone.
Definitely.
That is a healthy start, and it's gonna. The only issue I have is if they find a little too much comfort in that. You know, you can't let that confidence border onto cockiness, especially when you have teams like In Hyper in the equation. I mean, In Hyper, a team that needs absolutely zero introduction. The Deadeyes guys. I mean, names that definitely add a chill down the spine for NA communities.
Absolutely. Confidence is important, but overconfidence can be the downfall of even the best team. And that is a good point there for sure. Right now, we are looking over here at N Hyper, not too far away from.
We also have. I'm sorry about that. I think the sound might be a little bit delayed. We got, yeah, this congestion between In Hyper and multiple teams. In Hyper gonna have to also be a little bit careful not to become the deli meat in the Deadeyes 9Z Rude Dude sandwich here. But, oh, pardon me, Manic sandwich. But also up north in Yasnaya, it looks like ICU might be battling it out with the likes of GR.
Oh, yes. Let's go check that out. I was loving how ICU was playing the past few days, but they did end up getting relegated down to this last chance lobby. They were not able to secure their appearance to those finals just yet.
Woo, Juancho swallowing a healthy, high-protein nade dinner. And that is going to put a lot of the pressure here on Gentleman, Nado, Alien. Oh, I take it back. We got everyone up and about.
Yes, these guys were.
There might be a little bit of delay here in my screen feed. Oh,
Nice
Nate did not
nades.
take a lick of damage from it.
Good dodge there, able to get out of the way and
Retaliation served in spades here.
Beautiful.
He sends Hellfire back in return, and he's got more where that came from. A little extra for the thirst, maybe?
Just missed it. They closed the door and they were able to block the nade going through. Good move there by GR to stop that. And you can see ICU are already moving around. Oh, but we do have Taco Lovers engaging them from the other side. No, never mind. Excuse me. That was Gentleman down here.
Yeah, well, you know, there's times to be polite and be a gentleman, and there's times to just be a little bit aggressive. And when you're up against the likes of ICU Nate, I'd say aggressive is better than polite. And especially when you got Valak and Zuko spreading out on you, getting multiple lines of perspective, multiple areas to worry about here, and Valak trying to make a little Hellfire rain down himself, not quite hitting the mark, but definitely keeping the pressure on the roof holders.
Absolutely, and that's important here. They have the slight high ground here, so they could lay some nades back here, but you see GR is playing this cautiously. They know they've taken a lot of damage. They had already one of their members taken out, and so they are kind of playing a little bit back here. We have Taco Lovers not far either. Go ahead, Red Eyes.
Context is everything, Beans. I mean, and in a town as congested as Yasnaya, you can be, 10, 15 feet away from an opponent and still not really have a remote clue where they're hiding in. So with so many 3-story buildings here, I do understand a little bit of hesitation when, you've got Nate, Zuko, and Valak spreading out. I think the paranoia factor kind of kicks in. You don't want to make any rash advancements. You don't want to present yourself as any easy opportunities to the likes of ICU.
Absolutely. And it also comes down with to being in a crazy city like this, you do open yourself up wide open to your back if you do over pursue something. These teams, you can see that they are used to that. There are teams that literally go around and hunt for that third party. I'm thinking of SLR, who we saw pull off like 3 or 4 nice third parties in last night's matches. And I do think that's part of it too. These teams do want to play it a little bit cautious, at least to start, at least until they have an idea of where they are dealing with some of these different teams, what direction they are needing to focus on.
Yeah, and boy, I think what we might be in store here for is a little bit of a battle of patience. See, Taco posting up on the rooftop, preparing for some inevitable migrations by, and I think it's actually a pretty decent positioning were that zone not to shift away from half of their members here. But for members of teams like F29 and Control, they have nowhere but to migrate into zone, and the likelihood of them trying to travel through Yasnaya, I mean, it's a possibility. So I think that there's a decent, well, as I say it, they completely leave the spot I'm talking about here, but
yes,
that's okay.
Absolutely.
This zone has shifted here, and oof, we've got a little trouble brewing here. Just for fun, looking like they might be the deli meat in a missed sandwich, and 9Z and in hyper on the southeastern portion of this new zone.
All right, let's check them out.
Oof. See, you know, there is something to be said here. At least it is an inland zone shift. So, you know, this in-game is not going to have any water. But flip the coin here, Beans. I mean, not in the grand scheme of things, there's really not that much compound cover between this zone alone, let alone what the next zone shift is going to hold. So I think a early positioning, getting some of that early prime real estate might be the difference maker between a third place, second place win, or let's say, you know, a fifth or sixth.
Yes.
Because I mean, with 45 people still up on the table as we are reaching the concluding portions of stage 3, it's gonna be all out bloodbath, berserker warfare, and we're gonna drop 2 or 3 teams pretty quickly once that pace picks up.
Yes.
So those are the key golden moments where placement can be best acquired just by laying low and letting the numbers dwindle.
Absolutely. It can get so crazy so quick when it comes to these late lobbies that is absolutely a great point. I mean, noticing where what compounds you have available to you. Ooh, simple with some good shots there on Arun in the distance.
Boy,
MN here.
Having himself quite a day.
Yes, he is. Let's see how many he's got right now. The team itself already has 8. Alim Simple coming in with 3 and looking to notch 2 more potentially here. Well, actually going to back off, and it looks like they are going to try to get themselves picked back up here. Elite is down.
Well, yeah, because you got to remember, you know, what they lost. They lost MZZ pretty early on in the match here, so getting another one of their teammates knocked would absolutely be a detriment. You know, losing half your starting lineup, you can't place enough emphasis of having those numbers at the end game, especially against a team as experienced as In Hyper or Deadeye's guys.
Yes, absolutely. Makes a huge difference. Just those numbers, just having a 4th gun compared to 3 total, that right there can be the difference maker in some of these big fights that we see.
Ooh, well, somebody didn't prepare for the zombie apocalypse. And just like that. All right, I'm gonna say that the closest thing to altercations we have right now would have to be, I think, you know, the same situation we were speaking about maybe 2 or 3 minutes prior with Just for Fun and Mist. But the problem I have with that is that they have been relatively inactive and haven't been moving too much in that time. So I don't expect them to be out and hunting, so to speak.
I see what you're saying here right now. We're looking at these two, and you see it's 2 duos next to each other just for fun, staying put, and the Mist just kind of staring at him from 2 different angles here, Dark and Neverside.
Add to that the zone has shifted in their favor. Yeah, it could be a little bit of a let's post up and hang out for a minute
and
save
wait and
our
see what
resources,
happens.
collect some nades and med kits for that in game.
Oh, it looks like Deadeye's guys have rolled up into this compound where at least the Mist member is. Just for Fun's right next door. We also have ICU and Dauntless fighting elsewhere, but we are going to keep it here for now. Check out what's happening with Neverside, who is trying to defend his compound with that S12. Gets hit hard. AJ, all of Deadeye's guys got a little piece of that action.
Yeah, well, that was just honestly lined up and an easy meal right there for the Deadeye's guys. You know, an S12 is a great, you know, weapon for your final stand here if you are being pushed. But realistically, when you're outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned, there's only so much you can do here. But the Deadeye's guys not blinking those eyes for a single second, refocusing their attention on Anna and Beans. No, ironically, Beans, ironically, of Just for Fun. And look at this, just an onslaught, a hailstorm of grenades falling, hellfire dropping right around Anna, taking her down to just above half health, and she's cooking up some retaliatory utilities as well. Aimed out at Blade, is it gonna hit?
And they both take some damage. Blade is low. Anna took a little less damage on that one. You see they're both scrambling to get healed up right away. Oh yeah, this is ramped up quickly.
Yeah, and a battle of utilities has ensued. It is just all out smokes and nades, and the Leon is dropped like a bad habit. Anna making her final stand here. She is the last hope. Oof!
It was a
And it
great
was a
effort.
great effort.
Absolutely. Almost got the squad wipe there. One more nicely tossed nade. I think we did jinx it a little bit there.
In case y'all were wondering what the harmonies sound like for the Red-Eyed Beans, Black-Eyed Beans cover band.
Right
The
there.
harmonies are on point.
All right. Rusher 7 is in the area now too. Yep.
Yeah, and they are not really capitalizing on that weakened Deadeyes. I mean, realistically, Deadeyes just had that altercation. They had made all the noise and commotion. So that's the time I would have expected rushers to be the sharks in the water, smelling the blood and coming to pick off the remains.
Same. I think the fact that they are down to a 3-man, they are playing it a little more conservative than they usually would. When we saw them in the earlier rounds, they were playing pretty confidently and they would take on these pushes. So I think now they see they're in the last chance now. They're not trying to full send it, but they are sending lots of nades in that direction.
Oh, Brother Beans, we also got in Hyper and Dauntless squaring off outside of the zone, and we've got Zombie Boys and F29 going at each other.
We haven't seen too much of N Hyper. Let's go check and see what's happening with that fight here. Yes, they are not far away from Dauntless over here.
And currently, I mean, take to heart the fact that they entered this match as a three-piece, already coming in with less resources, less manpower, less firepower. So, a team like In Hyper, though, is one of the most strategically adaptable teams in North America. So I don't think that they have a trouble finding a balance of reservation and aggression. And I don't even think as a two-piece that they would, but luckily they were able to revive their fallen teammates. And looks like Goji is even going to push forward.
Wow. The confidence that they're playing with as a 3-man. I love it. I absolutely love it. You see, they've come in and took that spot from Dauntless without really even second guessing it. Banger is still nearby, laying low. Oh, his vehicle's disabled. That's why. And here we go. Banger's going to try to get some shots over here on Stars.
All right. Well,
he's caught out in the open, though. Stars, good move.
Turn your back on In Hyper, and I know it's hypocritical for someone named Red Eyes to say you can't start seeing red and just zoning in on one player, but you have to be aware of the entire context of the playing field. And In Hyper rarely travels alone. They usually have a coin in their back pocket, holding an off angle or something at least.
Yes.
And same can be said for teams like the Tacos. That the Taco Livers are absolutely holding a great positioning here. That geographical high ground and these little divots here,
yes,
really giving a lot of cover from essentially what could be 360 degrees if they were to go prone.
It's almost the perfect little bowl to keep yourself covered. Oh, Stars does end up going down to Doodle Bob. Let's see. N Hyper grouping up here, coming in for the group push. Gaji pushing up on this hill. S12 in hand.
You want to talk about the importance of utilities come in-game. In Hyper, enshrouding a path forward in a cloud of smoke, and that is all that separated Gaji from being reunited with his teammates in the prone zone here, sent back to lobby. We got 9Z also maybe unintentionally giving a little assistance to Gaji here and just distracting the Taco Lovers for that little bit of time that he needs. And Choco, ironically, going after Taco.
The Choco Taco combo. And Hyper did end up getting taken out there. Just last second, Gaji was not able to stay low. Elite went and took him down, but look at that. Taco Lovers come in and clean up both of these teams as they were trying to get out of that blue.
But that new zone has spoken, Beans, and it is not in favor of 4 of the 7 teams in the remaining on the playing field. So if you're in Z, well, I'm going to say the 6 teams remaining on the playing field because Control just lost control to the likes of Dauntless. And Zombie Boys going to be driving northbound into the zone, but going to have to worry about their closest threat, the remainder of Deadeye's guys.
Indeed, yes. Blade was the last one here. Yep, we saw them trying to bring the fight. Rusher 7 and DE were fighting earlier. It looks like they're both still alive here. They both ended up walking out of that as a solo, so those teams really did a lot of damage to one another, and they've just been staying low trying to survive. They got blessed with a zone shift that last time, though.
Yeah, well, Beans, how corny am I allowed to get with my humor here?
Oh, yeah, get as corny as you need, man.
All right, man, I'm going to cringe myself, just so you know. I'm going to be a little disappointed in myself once I say this, but, Blade, I would expect him to do well against a team like Vampire entire esports, but zombies are a whole different beast, man. And I am so mad at myself for actually saying that
I love
out loud. But
You're right.
has absolutely ruined me with dad jokes. 9Z with an aggressive push forward. They are
There they go.
continuing this absolute berserker strat here, just out here hunting and searching for blood. Zombie Boys on the mind, and it is going to be a trade of utilities going off of intuition, it sounds like, and sound alone. Well, sound isn't going to be enough when 9Z pulls that rotation around.
Oh, yeah.
They have a lot of opportunity. If you're 9Z, I would even, say, looking at the team numbers on the top left here, they have that info. They could essentially spread out on 3 different angles around this hill and just kind of work their way up at the same time.
Yes.
And that's a great panic factor.
Oh, beautiful nade.
Seconds are going to be clutch. What is 9Z going to do to capitalize about this?
Yes, they have the opportunity now. They've opened the door. They've got 15. If Julio gets confirmed, they'll have 15 limbs as a team. They are rolling on all 4s this round without question. 3 solos ahead of them that they have to deal with. I don't think Emmer's going to be able to get up there to get Julio. Pika's does end up taking out that last member of Deadeye's guys.
Well, and just to add a little karma to the equation, he just had a nade crash. 1, 2.
Oh, the
Goodness
nades.
gracious, man. There's not even a time to let out a sigh of relief. The second he does, it's over.
It's
Boom.
been all game 2. They have just been going nade after nade and really been on point with that. Here comes Emmer just pushing out, and it's a 1v3 situation, and that is going to be that.
Outmanned, outgunned, and you got to give it up. 9Z essentially in complete control for almost the entirety of the match. They started off aggressive, they finished aggressive, and they really only lost 1 member in the process, and I'm pretty sure they lost him relatively early on. So they lost MZZ fairly early on. So Simple, Choco, and Elite carrying on as a 3-piece in a hyper-aggressive fashion. That's kind of extra impressive for multiple reasons there,
Yes, it is.
That's going to set them off with the tone. Let's count them up. 19 elims. Okay, so that is literally a 29-point gain from 1 match alone. In context, some teams don't put a 29-point gain up in an entire day. So let alone 1 Erangel match. This is the map that our teams were supposed to be by far most familiarized with. We have spent 6 years harping over it again and again and again. So you can bet, that is usually the map that there is more of than anything else.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
if 9Z is setting the tone like that in game 1 of day 1 of this stage, that is going to be curious to see what happens on our do-over on Erangel. What's going to really happen, if anyone can really correct those errors, or if 9Z is just going to come out like the gladiators that they've been and just lay an onslaught to the whole playing field.
Definitely. The fact that, well, just to let you viewers know too, there's no Miramar tonight. Because there is a weird glitch going on where there's no loot, we're playing only Erangel and Sanhok. So these guys are going to have 2 more opportunities to come out and do similar things on Erangel. And if they keep coming in with that type of play, they're absolutely going to take the lobby tonight. Very, very solid first round in the books for them for sure. But all right, good stuff. I think we are going to go ahead and get set up for the next round then, guys. I do believe the next one is going to be on Sanhok. It looks like it's going to be a back and forth between Miramar, Sanhok, or excuse me, Erangel, Sanhok, Erangel, Sanhok.
All good with me, man.
Yeah.
I think the extra Sanhawks is a nice little surprise factor, a kind of a trial, a spontaneous trial for our participants, because that is entirely different strategies. And what we've seen time and time again is that Erangel being an 8x8, it allots for a lot more patience. And I think in a clustered, congested map like Sanhok, it is going to absolutely need to change up your strategy in the gameplay for our participants. And the fact that we're doing more Sanhawks than usual, this could be, I know for instance, teams like KR, their women's team is just dominating every Sandhawk they hit. So,
Hmm.
there are teams that absolutely have geographical advantages and comfort zones. So I'm curious to see if these extra inclusions of Sandhawk are going to make a difference.
I'm very excited myself, especially because Sandhawk tends to have a lot of hot drops. Boot camp is almost always a thing. Pine on a few of these drops, not quite as many places to go. So we will see a little bit of chaos a little more early on than Erangel, which people like to spread out a little more. So, as a caster, I'm all about that.
Yeah, and if 9Z's utilities have told us anything, if they've spoiled me for choice here, I'm expecting nothing but a continuation of that, and I would love to see some more impressive nade knocks like that moving forward. We
Definitely.
still got 4 more rounds ahead of us anyway.
Super excited for it. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna play some replays for you guys while we go ahead and hop into this next lobby. Hope y'all enjoying the content here so far. We'll see you very soon for round 2 on Sanhawk. All right.
Let me know when I can talk. Question. Um,
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, back to it. Round 2 is getting ready to start right now. Let's go ahead and check in real quick, guys. Not too bad of a first round there, huh, Red Eyes?
Oh, it was intense, my man. A 19 elim match is that is definitely a way to set the tone.
Without question. I'm going to have a close eye on them in this match. I hadn't heard too much of that team before this myself, at least in my own personal events. So yes, absolutely going to keep a close eye on, I believe that was 9Z, wasn't it?
It was 9Z, yeah. But as we were saying at the end of Erangel, you know, every different map presents a different set of challenges and different sets of advantages. And Sanhok is especially so, just being as it is so congested. So, I mean, you know, having the luxury of that far sight on Erangel might not really be something that carries over to a map like this. So we'll see if 9C can keep up that momentum.
Absolutely. All right. So yes, let's go ahead and hop into this one, guys. The match has started here. It looks like we already have a hot drop going on in boot camp down here.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be between Manic, ICU, and the Taco Lovers. And boy, Juancho just had a big chunk of him torn off with a DBS.
Indeed.
That is a rough start to your day. And as you can see, Nate and Zuko said, you know what? Maybe not right now. Maybe we'll save that for later. And dipping out a dodge.
Yes, indeed. And it looks like they lost Valak too, unfortunately. So it's just those two now from ICU left in this match too.
And it looks like we also got a southwestern confrontation between the likes of the Zombie Boys and Just for Fun. But what they don't seem to be all too aware of yet is this third-party threat coming in from the likes of Rushers 7. We got Cog, Bullet, and Cause surrounding on 3 different angles. So this is really where patience would pay off if they can just let these two teams start duking it out and attack a weakened victor of that altercation before they're able to heal. That could be a third-party opportunity that you don't see every day, especially if they can get their 4th player, Vito's, to come in position. I have my own name for this strategy that I say it all the time, but I don't know what the official terminology for this play is. If anyone knows in the chat, let me know. But I call it the boa method because it's like, you know, a boa constricting on prey. But I say it time and time again. It's a pretty tough positioning to get in place for without the enemies being made aware of, and that is why you don't see it on a everyday basis in PUBG Mobile Esports.
Yes, it's easy to overextend, and if you are one of those who's moving out there, you get caught by yourself, then you're a detriment to your team. You're letting them down, and obviously these teams don't want to be that first one to go down. But when it's pulled off, some of these teams can absolutely pull it off well, and Rusher 7 are absolutely in a great position. Look at the angles we're seeing right now from them.
This is entirely, maybe more so than if they actually end up doing, you know, that boa strat, this would be one of the best implementations of it, positioning wise, I've ever seen. Literally, their patience here is phenomenal. They've had multiple lines of sight on the targets here, but it's about scouting, relaying the info to your teammates, and waiting for them to get in position first.
Indeed. We have a start on this fight now. Yes, you see Bye is down, got hit in the distance by that Rusher 7 member, and Zombie Boys are leaping on that opportunity to come in.
Oof, Aorsic S18 definitely leaving a curtain on Fana, but not going to be quite enough there. And Bye coming in for S12 combo and swallowing a healthy dinner of bullets in retaliation. One of 2 Zombie Boys remains here. We've got Julio coming in.
Oh, man. Gets lit up there. Rusher 7 immediately leaping on it afterwards, though, to get the knock. And I think that's it. They literally were... This
is honestly one of the best implementations of it I have seen in quite some time. Really capitalizing and not wasting a single millisecond of that opportunity.
Not at all.
The second those two teams had engaged with one another is when they took their attention away from the surrounding threats, and especially, you know, on a in a city like, Painan, where that riverway can just divide the cityway in half, and it can become that standoff, that battle of patience that'll go, yeah, we've seen time and time again. So the entirety of the match sometimes, depending on how the zone shifts.
Yes,
So it
indeed.
is really refreshing to see a team exercise that kind of patience to get in positioning and just seeing it pay off in spades like that.
Yes, and they have that whole south area now to themselves, essentially. They're coming in from, or southwest area coming in. They have no one around them after that. They are feeling pretty comfortable, I'm sure now. They're going to be able to loot up, get themselves, stock up on some good armor, everything else. So that will definitely benefit them in the long run, removing that competition from the area. Let's go see. I think we may have some more action going on out there in boot camp, maybe?
Yeah, boot camp would be the closest point of contestation currently, but that would be between the likes of Manic and Taco Lovers. But as you can see, a little further south of boot camp, we've got a little four-way love diamond here forming here that could spell a real problematic situation for the likes of 9Z in like the Bermuda Triangle of sorts here, and all the while battle and chaos ensues here. We got Manic and Taco.
Ooh, nice shots there from Sir.
Knocks.
Definitely good shots. Onion Sir hits Wednesday right in the head, and it looks like Zane is moving away, maybe going for high ground. Put himself out there too far, though, and gets taken down by Thursday.
And Manic, at this point, is reliant upon Onion, and Onion alone, clinging to that utility. He could really use a nade knock right now, something to help even the odds.
He was just short on that one. Look at the damage on Doodle Bob. Oh, I'm cheering for Onion here. We're supposed to be unbiased, but I want to see this lone member survive.
Yeah, you hate to see it, but the caster curse is such a real thing. Can he make it in the water?
He actually got away.
Just like that.
Wow.
Sneaky Michael Phelps tactic here.
I like it.
Well, that does leave, I guess he's still not out of the thick of it yet. Doodle is in hot pursuit, but Onion able to use that little bit of rock ledge there, get up and use a first aid before quickly dipping on back down into the water. A sneaky water snake. He's not fooling him for a second.
No, he is not.
He's literally a fish in a barrel.
It was a good effort, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Just short of getting away.
Well. Oh, and on our western portion of the map, outside of the safe zone, we've got a little potential contestation lingering between In Hyper and Dauntless, and it looks to me like they are more than likely here holding position, waiting for the other team to rotate. So that could have that could be a little problematic, a bit of a standstill between those two.
Absolutely. We've got Klaus here who likes to separate. I tend to see Klaus doing the solo thing a lot. In previous events, I've actually seen him go solo and drop like 5 a limb, so I'm not surprised at all to see him just booking it away from his team, running in and looking for people to laser beam. Let's see if he is able to catch one of these members. This could really work against him, though. Coming out and taking shots at N Hyper is not a good way to live a long time, in my opinion. At least not as a solo.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a way to get the big bad wolf's attention, and not exactly the bully you want to be picking on, especially in game 2. But realistically, for a team like Taco Tuesday right now, being surrounded on 4 ends here, that seems a little more problematic than a team like Dauntless, who's just hanging out outside the safe zone, waiting for a late inbound rotation. I think there's several reasons for that, but I think in this case, it may prove a little bit less productive than they were anticipating. They've already got In Hyper's attention. And so them hanging outside of that zone is basically asking for maybe a hot pursuit from behind. And as you can see, In Hyper's in no hurry. They're not in any rush to get into this new safe zone. They're still... What zone is it right now? It's
second stage.
Stage 2.
Still pretty early on for sure.
They can sip on that blue juice with a couple of active boosts and be just fine for quite some time. So that does seem a little bit hesitant from Dauntless to wait on that inbound migration into this new zone. Usually, I would say you do see it more often on Sanhok, but more so at that stage 5 in-game
Yes,
zone.
absolutely. When things are a little bit later on, and yeah, not as much space for these teams to move for sure. To your
Hey,
point.
maybe N Hyper is bringing 2020 back and gonna resurrect the infamous heel strat.
Yeah, let's see.
Psych, it never left.
We still see teams pull it off sometimes. I think Control actually had a really nice one last season with like 18. I think one of them had 18 med kits, first aid kits, something like that, and we're able to get like a second place finish pulled out. So it's definitely still a viable strat.
Oh yeah. I mean, granted, the new point structure certainly is going to emphasize eliminations more, but there's still enough weight in the placement points that it serves a purpose for sure, and often it still seems to be the move for a lot of teams, even at the professional level.
Yes, definitely. I mean, hey, it's free points. You can get yourself a few more extra placement points. It's not as valuable as frags. Oh, we got a lot going on with Dauntless and Deadeyes, guys. Where is that at?
Leon just swallowing a headshot and a thirst to follow suit. And at this point, they are just on the western portion outside of the safe zone, and it's only going to be one final member. It's going to be served right there. And he is the last one. AJ, my apologies. AJ. Ooh, now that's going to leave Shifu and Blade already, pretty far away. Healthy amount of distance between themselves and the in-hyper dauntless confrontation. But it does go to exemplify kind of that trade you make when you do these 2-2 splits, especially if you're not comfortable in that 2v4 setting.
Yes.
Maybe these 2-2 splits, 3-1 splits aren't really the strat going up against some top tier teams.
I absolutely agree with you on that. It can be a little over aggressive. Some of these teams definitely, it's kind of what we were saying earlier, is how overconfidence can be against your downfall in these situations, especially when you're in last chance, playing it more conservatively, going with maybe a 2-2 split rather than a 1v3, at least so you can, or a 1-3 split, at least so you can cover your bases if anyone does go down. That can be a difference maker there, losing that one teammate even in some of these big fights we're seeing.
Oof, and it looks like somebody's got an angry eye on 9Z here. It looks like Scream has been taking a rough hit there. I'm going to get that map right back up on the screen for you. My apologies.
Oh, no worries.
All the while, Taco is having at it with the likes of Rusher 7, and whoever comes out victorious in this altercation really isn't out of the frying pan by any shape of the word. And case in point, Rude Dude a distance beam in onto booty camp. Whoever comes out of this is gonna be getting extra attention, third-party attention from Rude Dudes or 9Z.
Yeah, you're absolutely right here. There's so much action going on in this area, and anyone who does emerge, especially if they've got a high ground, anything like that, is going to be a target for these other teams in the area. That's what they're doing. They're staying put, using their long-range scopes, trying to get free pop shots on the other. But yes, you are absolutely right. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in the area, something like that?
Yeah, and to add a little kicking of your feet for the participants, the zone shifts just outside of it.
Oh, yes, it does.
It's gonna be good for us, the viewer, because with Sanhok, as it is so congested, and to add a little bit of extraness, that so much geographical cover, to add icing onto that cake is when you have the zone shift, a late game zone around a city in Sanhok. It's just too many hiding positions to really expect those immediate, spray and pray, rush through an open field pushes here.
Definitely.
So I'm really thankful to see this northbound shift that's going to kind of nudge Taco and R7 out of their comfort zone of boot camp and into what is I'm hoping a battlefield of really only maybe 3 clusters of buildings.
Yes, I really like that on Sanhok when we do see the terrain come into play a little more. The player's knowledge of the map really shows through. If you know an area where you have one of these good rocks that's giving you, a good spot, if you're aware of that, you're so well versed on the map, you can find those good areas that are a little more covered than others. I mean, that comes down to it too. Obviously, your knowledge base and your experience on the map definitely can speak to that.
And I think that the best time to really assess their in the moment those split-second decisions in an in-game zone when there's not a lot of building
Mm-hmm.
cover to choose from. Those are, I say this probably too often, but those are really the times where knowing every single hill, divot, knowing what trees are gonna block your line of sight from certain cities or be blocking you from a line of sight from
Mm-hmm.
someone aiming out. And uh, when high ground is afforded, that's great. But when compound cover and all that is thrown out the window, that's when you really have to have every coin in your back pocket. I'm talking about the abundance of smokes for that late game worst comes to worst scenario, and just maybe a geographical advantage. We saw last match 9Z really utilizing high ground in an exceptionally patient and
Mm-hmm.
honest, perfect placement and perfect implementation. And I think that they might have a little bit of the same idea set for this. I can tell you right now, Dauntless has taken the the bait, so to speak, of this lay of the land here. With that zone shifting around the island, I see this happen almost
Oh,
honestly since the entirety of Sanhok
yes.
joined esports.
Mm-hmm.
But we see it time and time again where someone will go into that little shack on that island and think that they're safe, but realistically, you are fish in a barrel to all the high ground cliffs around that, and the only way to get back if the zone shifts inland is to swim, and you're just lining yourself up.
You're a free target at that point. And as we were saying, that Salty who was in the water got caught out in the open. And here is this fight on this hill erupting over here with GR Esports and 9Z.
Yeah, we've got multiple points of confrontation on the eastern front. We've got the likes of GR facing off against 9Z. 9Z clearly with something to prove here, showing that it wasn't a fluke. They're already sitting very healthy at a 6 elim mark with a 7th knock in the picture already as we speak. Choco and two teammates on the forefront of it with 1 coin in the back pocket. Scream Zoo here, holding the off angle.
Good knock there.
Positioning.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that they are routing, they're taking GR Esports position directly from them. They're confident enough to push that. It really, really does speak to how well these guys are playing, how much swagger they're bringing into this last chance lobby day one.
Yeah. Well, Rude Dude's kind of living up to that name here and certainly bullying the likes of Taco Lovers at this point. Taco Lovers down to the sauce and the sauce alone.
What is about to happen here? Sauce is just sitting back watching the res go on.
Right. Yeah, listen, man, when the sauce runs out, who knows? Oh my goodness, what just happened there?
He had to push for it, I guess. He just had to do it. I'm surprised he didn't sit back and wait, but he decided to go forward. Okay.
Imagine you're the guy doing the reviving there and had no idea.
Just getting fired at by your teammate.
Yeah. All right. Well, 9Z literally not letting the foot off the pedal. Just not sure who to focus in on first, but laying it out an entire hailstorm of bullets all around them. They get a knock on Rudu before reorienting their attention to Rusher 7. And now, all the while, Choco holding off in the forefront. Only 1 of 2 teams in zone.
Mm-hmm.
He's got positioning. And now the rest of the team, they engage with 3 teams simultaneously. And now look, a 2-1-1 split. These guys are clearly comfortable in the solo setting, but put them all together and it's just trouble for the whole playing field.
100%.
A single building being occupied in the zone shift. With that much water, it is fish in a barrel. Everyone is fish in a barrel. They're the only team on land, Beans.
Yep. Shifu's the one who's not out here, but even him they're gonna be an easy target here once they do poke their head up. Get some decent shots.
Element of surprise is gone though. One shot to really
Oh man. I think he rushed that. I think he should have gotten a hold of the lay of the land on what was happening.
Yeah, because Elite holding that off angle was perfect. I mean, granted, it ended up he sacrificed his location to Blade by getting that thirst, but a pretty fair trade in that situation. And honestly, you can't argue with the numbers. A double dub is on the table here for 9Z, and not just a double dub, Beans, but one that's with 16 elim. So
What a finish.
in round 1, Let me know when we
Let's move over. Yep, we're going back to our cam. Let's do it. So yes,
So, to put it in perspective here, round one, a 19 elim match with a first place chicken dinner on the tip of your tongue finish. That's a 29-point gain in Erangel alone. But then to add another 26 points onto the table here, well, I mean, these numbers are going to absolutely start to have that snowball effect, meaning that if 9Z can maintain this momentum even for like one more match, then at that point, realistically, with such I mean, like already they've already got above 50 something points, closer to the high 50s, right?
yes.
So the numbers here are so in their favor. They're allotted so much room for mistakes. If they were eliminated, first up next match, they're still going to be coming in positioning first place regardless. I don't think that there would be a way unless maybe something like a 34 elim match, but hey, in what world does that happen?
There you go.
Apparently it does.
Well,
But,
there you go. It happens sometimes, and it's
so you
interesting.
never know what to expect, but especially with the PUBG Mobile Control Invitational, man. And as we're getting towards these later stages, when there's nothing left to lose at these grand final stages come day 2 of that, I'm expecting the unexpected in full swing.
100%. I mean, the way that these teams are already playing, it gives you an idea of what's happening day one here. But teams can get complacent. I mean, we're going to keep a close eye on how they're playing it throughout. But it's funny when in the survival of the fittest lobby, we saw some differences between day 1 and day 2. That urgency really hits day 2, and teams start to play a little bit out of their normal bounds, a little out of their comfort zone. And
that little juxtaposition, that dynamic between confidence and cockiness. And
yep,
don't get me wrong. I think in those sort of scenarios, it's hard not to get a little cocky when you leave that kind of message on day 1. But remember who you're up against. Everyone worked hard to get to this stage, and everyone belongs at this stage. So, too much in your own flow will take you out of it for sure.
Without question. That's a great point there. All right, guys. Well, absolutely a great match 2 in the books. We're getting set to start round 3 here shortly. We're going to go ahead and jump into this lobby. Let's go ahead, and I believe it is going to be right back on Erangel, just like we were saying earlier. Yes, switching back between Erangel, Sanhok. So going back to the OG map, hope you guys are ready to see. We're going to see how these guys adjust a little bit. Obviously, some teams aren't too happy with their performance. They're going to be adjusting. I'm going to be looking at N-Hyper pretty closely in this next match, that's for sure.
We still got plenty of matches to go. There's still time to alleviate some of this. And, for teams like N-Hyper, that's a team that does not really take their eye off the prize. I'm not too worried about the panic factor on N-Hyper. They know how to behave under pressure very well, as they've proven time and time again. But Erangel is a free-for-all, so we'll see coming up.
Yeah, excited to see it. So, all right, guys. Well, we do have some replays for you from the last one. I've been doing my best to catch them, but juggling a lot here. I think we have a few good ones here for you, though. So we're going to play those. We'll be back here starting round 3 very shortly. All right. We'll see you guys soon. All right, welcome back in, everyone. Match 3 getting ready to start here shortly. Me and Red Eyes bringing you all the action. Hope you all been enjoying it here so far. Red Eyes, what you think of that last match there, man?
Well, you know, you can boil one crazy win down, but when you see it happen multiple times in a row, that's when, you know, there's really not a lot you can say to deny the talent. Now, if this becomes one of those outlier situations, you know, a team is going to have to put 9Z in check, and they're going to have to do it pretty quickly because, as I was saying at the ending portion of last match, if this sort of momentum starts to snowball, it's going to get out of the reach of all the other participants pretty quickly. And I mean, how many times in PUBG Mobile Esports have we seen a team dominate a day, you know, 1 day of a 2-day stage, and then come back the next day with so much less oomph, so much less, you know, flow, so much less synergy, and yet still have enough slack in the rope to take that dub at the end of the event.
It's a great
I've
point.
seen it more times than I can count, and you know, even if you know a lot of teams are able to alleviate some of this differential tomorrow, if you let 9Z continue doing what they've already shown they can do on both of these maps, that are the entirety of the maps that we're working with today, it's going to be a problematic situation for the rest of the playing field.
It's absolutely a great point. We saw something similar in Season 1 PMCI with Extreme Slayers. They really came out and dominated. They would usually come out day one, put up a lot of points, and it's a morale thing too at that point. You come out strong enough, you can really deter these other teams from even wanting to try and take you on.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. It looks like we do have teams landing in right now, guys. Let's go ahead and hop to it, see what we had ahead of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say here on my alt screen here, we got In Hyper squaring off against Control. I'm getting my cam on Control's JPack here, who is holding position, utilizing this little closet, making his final stand at the beginning of a game with an S12. But the Uzis and the Bisons just leave a absolute hailstorm of 9mm. And just like that, Control has lost control and is down to an AFK. It is all riding on Robin, and Robin, well, birds, that Robin ain't gonna fly in the water, I can tell you that.
Unfortunately not. Oh, you hate to see it. You hate to see a team go down because of an AFK member too, or maybe it was a connection issue, whatever it may be. Control is not looking good, too good here in the start of round 3.
And just to get a lay of the land here, you know, we've got ICU, Zombie Boys, and Deadeyes clustered around the Rozhawk region. We've got Pachinki belonging to the Taco Lovers with no one to contest with for a good distance. But it looks like, yeah, I think a love triangle forming between this school Rozhawk region, which is going to leave me awfully curious who is going to be the one to really get that geographical advantage between these two compounds. Obviously, we're talking about the Sniper Tower Hill. You know, that Overwatch over the school Rozhawk division could be a huge position, especially for gatekeeping opportunities from the West.
Yes, because this is all on the edge of zone here. That is absolutely a great point. We had a hard east zone here for the first shift, and so that does make this kind of a pivotal point right here where we're looking at right now between Roz and School.
And just gonna do a little slow scroll so we can give just the best spread that we have here, the
Mm-hmm.
best idea of it. But yeah, currently we do see some contestation between Rushers 7 here, but Dauntless on the opposite end of North George doesn't seem that immediate of a concern to me. As again, as we were saying last match with I guess match 1 with cities like Yasnaya and Pachinki that are just there's so much cluster and congestion with those compounds and cities that you can really is if you're splitting up the city between two teams and you're on opposite ends, it might not even come to a confrontation.
Yes, absolutely. If you play it the right way and you can, obviously, you have good position there, you're able to separate yourself. You can avoid a fight that could end up really hurting you in the end. That absolutely comes into play with these teams' decision making and how they are approaching certain
Yeah,
areas. Hmm.
I mean, you don't. I still think it's a maybe it's not 100% of the time, but I think it's a fairly safe assessment to say that if a team is dropping North George at the beginning of an Erangel match here, that they're probably not doing it to actively hunt for people. They're probably doing it to try to acquire that loot and get as well equipped as possible before engaging in the fight. So when you find someone here, yeah, I mean, yes, it's a pressure factor, but do be aware, they landed there for the same reason that you did. They don't want that early game smoke.
Yep, they want that loot. They want that good preparation when it comes to a fight. That is one thing I hate a lot when I don't get a chance to be as prepared for one of these big fights as I'd like to be. You want that level 3 armor, or at least level 2 at the minimum, at least a good amount of ammo. And yeah.
I'm just gonna pull this up here on my feed. Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. Well, Mr. Robin, the AFK, the fish that became an AFK, or the bird that became an AFK fish here, just finally backing about, but no time to waste here. You might want to, well, see, where is the assistance for Dauntless Claws? He is going to really bring up a great point here. Thank you, Claws.
Yep.
We were talking about the irony of Red Eyes saying, condemning people for closing in and seeing in red here, but Dauntless Claws getting a little too far from the cluster here and picked apart before he had any available assistance. And if I'm correct, he was well past that hilltop, so his teammates had no way of providing any sort of cover fire in that situation.
Mm-hmm. He was, and I mentioned it last round, he likes to play it as a solo. He would kind of go out there and do his own thing, scout out a little bit, and it does work against him here. The rest of Dauntless are trying to engage Rusher 7 from a distance from where they were.
And we got two different fights, altercations and screen feeds being provided to you all. But on my feed, what we're just keeping an eye on here is this 9Z GR Esports confrontation, because what we saw from 9Z in the previous Sanhok match is exactly what they're doing here right now. The boa strat, they are surrounding their opponent on multiple sides from different angles, offering different perspectives and lines of sight on the enemy, but also that ability to constrict simultaneously adds a huge pressure factor if it works out. And clearly GR is not playing that one bit. They are saying, no, sir, with a quick vehicle rotation, even if they lose someone in the process, it is better than being suffocated by the opposition of 9.
Absolutely. That's a great point there. Oh, here we go. Those Simple coming in with some good damage. Hit Gentleman in the head. And he's actually going to grab his vehicle, move back up there with Chaco.
Gentleman took quite a hit there. And yeah, see, this is what I'm seeing about 9Z is they really thrive with a nice high ground advantage. And we have both sides of the altercation. Hey, Beans, maybe let's try to maybe make that screen just maybe like 25% smaller if we can.
Absolutely.
I don't feel like we need all. Yeah, that's perfect.
You're right.
Perfect.
Just wanted to give your feet some love too, but thank you for that.
Oh, hey man, you're doing a phenomenal job on cam work. I'm just giving that extra angle just so make sure we don't miss anything. But yeah, look, I mean, 9Z really loves to thrive in that high ground. And in this case, let me switch over to the 9Z crew and just get my eyes as a two-piece. Realistically, this is where you would generally see a team, dial things back and be a bit more conservative and try to at least establish some placement points and make it to that end game. But after a double dub, these boys are well fed on chicken dinners. I'm not really surprised to see Choco and Simple. Wow.
They got the knock on Alien. I didn't think that he had the angle. He actually did take him out of that vehicle.
I was actually just about to say that is an optimistic spray he's got going there, but wow.
Great shots. Wow.
The good thing in this case is that GR hadn't really retreated from the altercation too much, so they may still have a shot at reviving their fallen teammate. Gentleman going for an even riskier revive than Alien did in trying to retreat through open field. These are two risky plays there, but the smokes have been thrown, little cover afforded to these participants here, and a quick vehicle evacuation.
And it's so funny because the way 9Z's playing as a duo, they're almost playing like they're a full squad right now, or at least just the amount of coverage that they're getting as two members. It's just so impressive.
And I mean, they're just not going to be taken out of the thick of it yet. It's out of the frying pan and into the fire. Here I've got my perspective on Simple, who is readily equipped with that DBS post-quarter combat annihilate. He says no. Nines.
Oh man.
Down first out.
Wow.
And remember, Bees, what did I say last match? Remember what I called this, so if I'm wrong, if I end up being wrong, we can throw all the toxicity towards Red Eyes. But I did say at the end of round 2, if 9Z were eliminated first out in round 3 and didn't get a single elim, I still think that they're gonna hold first place with a huge amount of slack in the rope.
Absolutely.
So I'm not even really phased to see them playing hyper aggressively in match 3. But honestly, if anything, it's more encouraging. They're not going to try to steal the show. They're not going to just leave it with no potential to us, the viewer, of a comeback. Everyone likes an underdog, and so you want it to be a fair fight still in day 1 at the very least.
Of course, yes. We definitely still want to see these teams. I mean, when we do have one team that kind of runs away with it, you already know that team is going to most likely win these fights. When they do get knocked down a little, these teams, maybe they're approaching them a little more openly than they would as if that team was 40 points ahead of them rather than if they were 20 points. So maybe that does make a difference down the line here. But yes, the fact that they went down with not even a single elim here, that almost fulfilled your prophecy to the dot.
Well, the caster curse, if 9Z didn't believe in it before, I can guarantee you they do now.
Yes, sir.
And, honestly, I do think that, in an average win, let's say, between maybe a 15 to 20 point game is a good match, a good takeaway for a chicken dinner dub with a healthy number of events. And, 20 is kind of the higher end of that extreme. So when you think about the fact that they have over 50 points between 2 matches, well, I mean, Beans, that leaves them even now in my head, probably about a 10-point lead at the least above,
the next closest.
And that's if someone steals the show this match.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. Somebody else has to emerge to challenge them. So far, we haven't really seen that yet. There hasn't been any teams who have really gone off and made us go wow in terms of their total frag amounts.
And that's not even to be really that surprising. What is surprising is 9Z's hyper aggressiveness on day 1 of it. Usually match 1, day 1 of the phase, when you're going to see a lot of reservation. No one wants to be the early elim and then have, we've got, 9 more matches over the next 2 days and no shot of alleviating that. No one wants to be first out, especially, if you're one of these professional teams and facing off against a lot of these other professional teams on a recurring basis for the whole season. There is a lot to be said about pride, reputation, and that intimidation factor that you put out here. And the Control Invitational for Season 3 is certainly going to carry over into Season 4.
Without question. These teams, they see, you made a great point there. They see each other a lot, and especially when it's a competition with multiple days in a row, if you do come out there and you get that intimidation factor going in terms of really hitting that morale, putting up a lot of points, there's teams who are going to just straight up back off from you if they see that you are playing on all fours, that you are fragging out, as opposed to teams that might just outright push you. That confidence level on how teams are willing to take on others, at least for our top dogs compared to some of these other teams who are hungry. I mean, all of these things really do come into play with these multiple day seasons here. And I like that we have it in such a close format too, because these teams aren't forgetting those losses. They took that mean loss in round one. A lot of times we're seeing guys who want to come back and get that revenge, get that chance for redemption.
Well, you know, I think if anything can be a testament to the reputations that teams can carry and the pressure that they put on one another, the Alpha 7 memes of the last couple days have just, yeah, if you don't think Alpha 7 is going to be coming back with a vengeance to try to get a little meme revenge there, you're crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
So these teams absolutely care about those things.
Pride is a thing without question, and especially when you have skill.
It has to be at the professional level. You know, the only way to make, oh gosh, in Hyper coming in on rushers. This is bad news. They just turned Cog into a bowling pin.
Oh,
And
Stars goes
dished
down.
Out. That was a shooting star that just burned to crisp. You know, that Stars. He just became Stardust.
Stars thought he could get back from that. They're so on point. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, the worst dad jokes are the best dad jokes, but
I love it.
Turn it off.
So,
oh, looks like the Eagles. Was that the Eagles I saw in the distance?
I think we did see another team close by. Yes.
I will pull that up here. We got eyes on Mellow. Yeah, they are in close proximity to the remainders of Rusher 7, which at this point is down to a three-piece of Pika, Vito, and Bullets. But the problem is they did lose Cog, as we watched just now. So reduced down to a three-piece, but they do have all four of their current elims between the teams still up.
I'll say this.
Can't rule them out.
I'm very surprised that they did not end up pushing that compound after getting knocks on those two N Hyper members, Gaji and Stars.
Yeah, we were talking about reputation and intimidation factors, and in Hyper's name gotta be the reason, you know, because I don't again to fully support what you're saying. Like, what from a strategic point, why would they not rush that? Well, because they're not comfortable in that close quarter confrontation with a Titan like in Hyper, you know, who they don't want to play David to the Goliath and risk it.
Absolutely, especially in this last chance lobby. That has to be a big part of these teams' consideration when they are going into chase lobbies. They don't want to chase fights that they think they don't have a good chance to win. That's definitely a big part of these reasoning or of this team's reasoning, how they're coming into these events. Oh, Taco lovers.
Well, Tuesday really in his or her comfort zone with that DBS, that close quarter combat annihilator. But this shotgun, as much as it has absolutely just heavily weighted the nature of PUBG Mobile Esports, it is not the only weapon for close quarters here. And case in point, one person with a DBS is not gonna always be the single squad wipe. You hope to see that 1v3, 1v4. Probably your best bet.
Yes.
Best odds are with that, but
yes, but that well, I know we saw some nerfs from that too since it was released. I remember actually in last year around this time, yeah, we had so many people just saying nerf the DVS. I remember seeing it spammed in my chat, and
I remember the day they nerfed they dropped the first nerf, and I was commentating at a DBS in-game zone. I said, well, you won't have to worry about this for too much longer.
Just the DBS action. Everybody was using it. It was such a common thing. Oh, F29 and Golden Eagles.
The Eagles have landed.
Oh, man.
You know, that's a goodness, you know, a bird and a jet. It's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's just the birds, baby.
And great
F29 jokes, dad jokes in full form. All right, Manic and the Deadeyes.
Oh, yes, over here.
One another, but on my off speed, the Eagles are hunting, coming in, smelling blood in the air here, and yep, focusing in on a member of Manic. The Onion Knight has been shot down. There is no layers to that man as the guy just takes him down to the prone zone.
Yes, Arun here with some good shots, keeping Manic alive, putting the team on his back, and it's a 1v2 situation. Deadeye's guys trying to come out and force Arun off of here, at least not allow these nades to come in. Does end up getting the knock on Shifu, but Leon follows up to get the squad wipe. Nice defense.
Outnumbered, outmanned, outgunned. What can you say? He didn't really play that. There's not really any way he could have played that better. You know, it's not really much he could have done without some sort of immediate escape. Oh wait, is that second vehicle still working?
That's a good question. Yep.
You know, if that, yeah, there's no way he would.
No, I don't think so. Especially with Golden Eagles sitting right here on this ridge, because now Deadeye's guys are facing them.
Not really. Without maybe an abundance of. Oh, look at the push!
Shifu, oh no!
Rushers living up to their name, and those Deadeyes have been closed.
Yes, that is a quick squad wipe there. Very nice job there, Golden Eagles.
Ourselves a peanut butter and trouble sandwich being made, and the deli meat is the final member of Rude Dudes, Mr. Manny 1v99, sitting perched in his little sniper two-story with an AUG UMP combo. But the deli bread here is gonna be the Taco Lovers and Rushers 7, and that is a rock and a hard place that you don't want to be caught in between.
And we have Manny from Rude Dudes, who's actually smack between them right now, who's trying to back off these nades being thrown in from Rusher 7. His back is completely exposed.
And he can't get that thirst because of a high ground overwatch, man. And I talk about it time and time again. Numbers towards an in-game stage are the critical difference maker between a first place and a fourth place finish. Almost time and time again. And, you know, when the numbers aren't in your favor, then patience can pay off. And I didn't see a lot of patience.
No, I did not. You're absolutely right. Could have potentially stayed low. Could have potentially let the fights happen around them, which I've seen that work out really well as a strategy before. Sometimes you definitely don't want to rush into things. Sit back and see where you can make your moves.
I'm gonna say something here. You know, while Rusher 7 has certainly been thriving, I'm not so sure how I feel about them using 4 smokes for a singular revive when a sniper tower blocked the fire. That honestly, it brings me to a point that I want to mention, because when you overuse smokes, you literally do the exact opposite of what the smoke.
You're bringing attention to yourself.
Yes, it is a homing beam at that level. All right, well, Zombie Boys.
Oh, I see that.
A tough pill to swallow off in the distance. At this point, reduced down to a 2-piece of Crazy and Emery. Emery, with an AK-47 M4 combo, finds himself pretty well equipped for such a scenario with no shortage of smokes and utilities. All the while, the Eagles just not letting off the gas
at all.
in the distance. 8 elims and a full 4-piece. And just to put it in perspective, that is, you know, 1/5 of the playing field up right now. So them being a full 4-piece and feeling this aggressive right now, especially for a player like Rise carrying half the team's elims on his back, this could be a real evening to the odds that our boys in 9Z.
Yes, we mentioned it. We mentioned it earlier about how we hadn't really seen another team emerge. I think we may be seeing that this round with Golden Eagles NA. The way that they're playing here, definitely a lot of confidence in some of these pushes. That one squad web we saw, it was a push from downhill, pushing up to a team that was in a higher ground than them, and to even take that on, obviously that's
I mean, those
can be tough.
Numerous odds, and unless being forced into an uphill push, you know, or having secured 1 or 2 knocks before doing, it can more often than not pay off against you. So the high ground, Anakin had to learn his own way.
Yep.
I think, Rush Point is trying to get some high ground here, and they used it to their advantage, but there's still higher ground to be covered.
There is, and that's
a team like Taco.
Yeah.
Tacos were on Tuesday, and today's Wednesday.
And they did end up just getting taken out there. Yep.
They got
and
left in the past.
It's so funny. Anytime you see a prison zone, well, majority of the time, it's always a chase for this high ground up here towards like, or I guess it's to the south, below prison. And that's where GR Esports try to establish themselves. You see, they've taken a lot of damage here, though. Golden Eagles aggressively pushing this lone member criminal.
I have Rise of Golden Eagles on my cam here, and the time since we last discussed them, Beans, they have skyrocketed from 8 to 11.
Wow.
So and Rise is responsible for 2 of those 3 limb gains, and when we tuned in was aggressively driving around the field as a solo looking for easy prey. This is a comfortable Golden Eagles. Now that 9Z is out of the equation, they are comfortable in a 2-1 split with 9, or I guess realistically, with 7 other opponents on the playing field, 6 other opponents on the playing field. I mean, they are in their element and ready to, in poker we call it, the big chip stack, the bully of an in-game. It's just really using your numbers in your favor and picking on the rest of the field, and that's what Golden Eagles is doing, and I couldn't agree with it more.
Yeah, I really love to see these teams finding their confidence, finding their step. First 2 rounds, they weren't quite there, but you can see they're playing with some purpose right now. And yeah, they're about to be meeting up here up at the top. It looks like right behind Sahil taking some damage from this nade. Oh, he's going to get hit in the back by Vitos down here. So it's a 3-3 fight between these two now.
Oh, is it? Yeah, we got ourselves a 3v1. So if you are Emery of Zombie Boys, and I don't know if he's... Oh, no.
I don't think he can get up here, can he? No, he is way down there.
Not without swallowing a healthy meal on that blue. I was gonna, but you know what? This might, no, not with Vitos there. It's not looking great, but all he doesn't need to win. He just needs to survive longer than one of these teams for that extra 2-point placement boost. And realistically, just put in perspective, if he can stay alive just a little longer, it'll be the exact same as if he gets 2 more elims right now.
You're absolutely right. And it's very possible, too, with these teams looking directly at one another. They're openly engaging themselves, openly engaging each other. I think Zombie Boys may have the opportunity to grab a second-place finish. We'll see how long it takes this fight to develop.
But look at this. Rush Point not putting all the coins in one pocket here, with Vitos holding this off angle and Bullets and Pikas at the forefront of an aggressive push here. A battle of, well, again, a battle of utilities. Late game, in-game utilities. The Eagles are hunting.
Oh, Mellow.
Even the nest.
Nice move there.
They are turning this whole in-game zone into... They are just dominating and in full confidence. It's down to Ritos and Bullets here.
Yep.
2 teams remain.
Zombie Boys just got taken out by the blue as well, so it is just these 2, indeed.
2v4. Hey, crazier odds have happened, and all of Rise.
Oh, nice shot.
Ritos. Well, boom goes the dynamite. All too literally, a 2v3 is a much more realistic odds to overcome.
Bullets got the knock on Mellow, and that is it. Rusher 7 will pull off the win here. Did not see them. Not that I thought that they were going to lose, but I did think it was going to come down to a little bit of a tighter fight. They did a great job of locking that down.
I'm not going to lie. I thought that, that they were going to lose. I didn't think that was a situation that Golden Eagles really should have been able to let slip from their talons so quickly. God, I am just cringing at these jokes myself. I know everyone else is doing it too, but just know that I hear it as well. I also am cringing. I just can't stop. But all right, so here's the thing about this is both of these teams did phenomenal efforts here in this match. They both did great in terms of elim counts, and realistically, the only difference that Eagles are going to have from the Rushers is 2 points. Both teams, or I guess actually 3 points. Rushers are going to come out 3 points more in advance than the Eagles did for round 2. So let's not, paint it to look like they stole the show, so to speak. But the Eagles had every advantage in their favor at that end game.
They really did.
High ground, and they outnumbered their opponent 4-2. And realistically, yes, the nade on Rise, that part
was a huge hit. I mean,
Rise, not a lot of time to adjust in that point, but taking out Rise, who has been their heaviest hitter so far today, by far, absolute difference in their gameplay.
100%.
The second they got that knock. And that is a team that really knows how to not wait
The
single millisecond.
the dominoes almost fell down after that. Rise was the one who was coming out, who was leading things strong. Maybe that's their IGL. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, that was a difference maker. Rise going down first. The rest of them went down one after the other. Rusher
The
7.
Eagles are they're just an in-game team. Like, they are not afraid of close quarters at all. And the PMNAC 2022, I can't tell you how many in-game zones they ended up changing the tides of the entire event, actually, and to the point where I couldn't say enough. The Eagles have landed in first place. Like, I remember that was my one thing that all right, it's getting a bit redundant. They are very comfortable in that in performance here, so I don't want to credit them. The fact that it was taken away from them is just going to exemplify how impressive that was from rushers. In that these brief split milliseconds are what separate these pro teams from some community teams. Just this getting it down to muscle memory, to the point where it is engraved in your DNA what to do. Like, I want it to be where if you're outside and having a barbecue in the summer and you hear some single tap shots, or what sounds like it, maybe it's a car exhaust, I want you to be going prone immediately. I want you to just out of bad muscle memory and bad instincts, just reacting like it's PUBG Mobile. That's what these pros are doing. They have rehearsed everything down to a fine tee, and that's that is how you utilize an in-game up against a team that dominates like the Eagles. So commend huge brownie points to Russia
Definitely.
7. Let's give them flowers where flowers are due.
Yes, definitely a great push there coming in from that low ground. Prison Hill behind it is always a little bit crazy. There's multiple angles, especially from people in the low ground who can light you up. So it really does speak to both of those teams, how well they were doing holding up the top, the fact they were able to get up there with those numbers. But yes, Rusher 7 really putting their skills on display there for us and showing why they are one of these top teams here in this conversation.
Absolutely. But hey, I mean, we've only kind of just begun here. We're a quarter of a way through the stage. But with so many matches and so much time left to turn the tides, and with 9Z clearly being knocked off of that rocker here just for a match, they've only got a 2-game head start, so to speak. We'll call it a head start for the sake of argument. So realistically, for a team like Rushers or Eagles, or nope, for a team like Rushers or Eagles, given how the points that they put up here, it is going to be a pressure factor for 9. They can't come alleviate that, and that we might see that slack in the rope be cut short.
Yes, this round 4 is going to be a big one here. We're going to have to keep an eye on those. Those are the 3 teams that I've identified so far as really coming out, having that motivation to play. Surprised that Hyper's not in that conversation right now too. They've been playing with 3-man for all 3 of the starting rounds tonight.
But here's what I'll say. I have said this in my own tournament and cast it in Hyper so many times, where I have seen this slow start. In Hyper is comfortable in almost every scenario, but one thing I put them above almost every single team in North America for, it's patience. In Hyper is calculative, and they are mathematical in their strategy. They do not react to pressure. So what would be a pressure for a team if you and me were to start a comp team and have this slow of a start? Yeah, we'd panic. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see In Hyper come in on day 2 and take the whole event. I've seen it happen on at least 3 or 4 occasions in the last 2 years, where that team specifically can change the tides as a singular unit. So
especially if they can get a full 4-man, I think that'll help them. But I absolutely agree with you. Even if they do continue as a 3-man, they have that potential every single round, just the way that they play it, the confidence that they play with as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on them going through the final stretch here. We're going to go ahead and take a step away, guys, while we do get set up for the next round. We're back on Sanhok for this one, back in the jungle. Hope you guys are ready. The rumble in the jungle, indeed. So enjoy the replays from the last one, guys. We'll be back here soon with the start of round 4. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back to it. Start of round 3 is upon us. Let's go in and have a look at what's ahead. Excuse me.
Beans, I believe. I may be losing my mind.
What is up, Red Eyes?
This is not round.
This is round 4, I believe. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, no. I think you said round 3, and I was.
Yep.
But the thing was, be like assured in my confidence of knowing how to count to 3. You did have me questioning myself.
I was pretty confident in that. I'm not gonna.
Hey man, you said it with so much confidence. I believe.
All right. Well, I see we do have a hot boot camp drop. Is that Taco Lovers I see there again?
Yep. Taco Lovers
Of
is pinched currently in between the likes of Manic and GR Esports, and currently the Tacos have spread out to the 4 corners of Lobster Building, and yet so has Manic. You know, they've got a warehouse and 2 buildings covered here, which is realistically the same thing, the same strategy of surrounding on numerous angles. I will say Onion could be a little vulnerable in his positioning here, and as you can see, Aaron having, or I guess Aaron having some nades thrown towards his direction. Not really anything to hit the mark.
Not yet, anyways.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That was a good nade there. That almost went right through that window, and it probably would have been a one-shot on Onion if it had made it in there. Wednesday was looking at him.
Yeah. And elsewhere on the board, just to get a lay of the land here, it looks like Mist and 9Z are going to have at it. I'll tell you what, while you're getting this, I will bring that up on the alt cam, and we'll get some multiple fights going here in this chat. If you wanted to, if there's nothing on your screen, I just switched over to 9Z, so if you ever switch to anything, go on over to Mist's perspective or something.
All right, perfect. Yep, that works. Let's go definitely check out 9Z and Mist
Team 11.
That will be Team 11. Thank you, sir.
All right, so with, this is interesting to see this, where Mist clearly doesn't seem to know about Simple's location, and Simple playing, the geography in his favor. This is the thing about, Tacos and Manic having at it. Tell you what, well, you got this up, I'll bring that up.
All right.
But, what I was going to say is, thing about Sanhok is they're really such an abundance of cover. There's more. I say this as the description, but when the map changes, I'll change my description. But there's more natural cover to take, more grass to hide inside, trees to hide behind.
Snake's
so
paradise.
Be alert. Yeah, man. There's snakes in the jungle. Every step you take, if no cover is afforded to you, simply go prone, and then you got the high grass at the very worst. But yeah, this is just such a clustered and condensed map. You really have an enemy 2 feet away at any given time without knowing. Well, Mist Vortex is the focal point here for members of 9Z. It looks like he is shot down to a quarter of his overall health, able to utilize the geography as well here to give himself a little bit of cover here.
Yep, and the rest of the Mists are going to move over here, or at least Neverside and Wolf. You see they're going to separate, moving in, trying to get a flank here, potentially grabbing this compound. And
give credit, man. Give credit. 9Z, again, the spread on them, never giving up. So what Chaco's doing back here is perfect. He's the outlying coin in their back pocket. If the remainder of the team is eliminated, they still have someone to carry on the team. But while even if he's not able to land bullets on his opposition, he's scouting and relaying that info for his teammates high in the sky here, and that could be very problematic if you're Mist.
Absolutely, knowledge is power, is what they say, right? And
that's what they say.
If you have an idea of the lay of the land, you know where some teams may be, or at least we're moving from. You could protect yourself even better, and it definitely helps. These teams that do like to spread out, you get that much more info. We got a lot going on the kill feed right now.
I was going to say, talking about knowledge, well, got a little knowledge of the rushers, definitely going to put a lot of high focus on them as well as the Eagles. And it looks like the Eagles and the Root might actually be having at it as we speak. They lost Sahil, as you had mentioned earlier, leaving them down to a 3-piece of Piddles, Rise, and Mellow. But what a 3-piece that is. It looks like they've got space now from that altercation with dudes, their next closest guy. But got a little bit more space.
All right, so, good to know.
Yeah, I think I'll tune into GR here on
Yeah,
my cam.
boot camp is looking crazy right now. And Hyper's actually
Oh,
crept
boy.
up, and they are out here. Oh, F's from N Hyper was taking on number one Howdy, and does get knocked in thirst as a solo. Surprising considering that Stars was up above, but must have not had a good angle down there between these two warehouses. And Hyper will be down to a duo. Gaji's gonna immediately back off and go regroup with Stars
Yeah.
here.
But remember what I said, first they started off they came in with weaker, reservations, less firepower, less manpower. But remember what I said, that is a team who is cool under pressure. And Gaji and Stars, the names we know them, and we know what their reputation. I wouldn't rule these two out of taking chicken dinner from this match. And that is how experienced they are in the solo v squad scenarios. So you put them even together as a unit of a two, that is a very formidable combo.
Absolutely. And you can see Gaji, I thought he was going to immediately go back and regroup with the team. He is staying right there above boot camp, still looking for angles, still feeling very confident as a solo, and definitely speaks to the point you just made there.
And it looks like the Eagles just came out of some sort of altercation.
The firing on the crate, the multiple...
Oh, yeah, the toxicity. Add insult to that injury, baby.
And that's them taking out Rude Dudes, I believe, or at least most of Rude Dudes. Yes, they have been squad wiped, so that was what just occurred out here. Golden Eagles coming out of that fight. Still a three-man. They did end up losing one, but
yeah,
not looking too bad.
Manic is down to their last person, too,
yes,
at this point, which is going to be number one. And I think, realistically, gotta just do nothing, which is hard. I think one of the hardest things to do in a high pressure, especially, when your team is all watching, the team itself hasn't had an abundance of points that match. A lot of pressure's on you to do something. One of the hardest things is to dial back and do nothing, especially if you're him, number one here, because you're sandwiched by, Stars and Gaji of N-Hyper, beneath GR Esports, not to mention the two zone migrating teams coming in that are, realistically missed. If they travel this route, is going to be more pressure on the shoulders of this Manic solo if he does not just pretend to be invisible.
Absolutely. It's inaction sometimes is the move. It almost feels like it's a bad move, but when you're just at that much of a disadvantage, if you're seen even once, which I believe Howdy was just seen by them, Criminal was taking, oh no, you know what? They're actually taking shots uphill at N Hyper. I was mistaken. Gaji was peeking out here and did take some damage.
Well, now we saw what happened last match with teams that were hesitant to push knocks on N Hyper, but that was a little bit different. It could be a little bit. You don't know if our teams are all, how close of attention they were paying in the lobby when they joined the. Know that In Hyper started this match off as well as a 3P. So if they don't know how much manpower is within Hyper, I totally. But if you do, I think it's one of those situations where if you get a knock, there's literally not gonna be much excuse to not push for that if you have the vehicle to get there before revive.
Yes, absolutely. And you highlighted something just now too, the power of having vehicles on Sanhok when they are so they're not in, there's not a whole lot of vehicles to be had in Sanhok. These teams that do
even
get
more
it.
so than do you remember the trio of Sanhok? It was the absolute most ridiculous thing you could do. You would be sacrificing your team's position, get a vehicle, and rotate inbound. But now, everybody's comfortable on most of the maps. None more so than some of these pro teams. So, absolutely. I don't think that they're worried about the sound giving up their location.
No,
They're
definitely
that
not.
confident with the geography.
The trade-off you get from it too, it's a small map. Your mobility is increased so much when you have it. I see SLR; they are one of the best teams at their mobility on this map. Always have a vehicle when I do see them play, And it really, really does make a big difference when you can rotate faster than the other team who didn't get a car, you know?
Well, not to mention an in-game and an open field. That vehicle, once you run out of your smokes,
Oh,
I mean, hey,
yes.
even if you got the smokes, that vehicle may be the only thing separating you
point.
from the knock. And 9Z down to their last
Oh,
Z.
wow.
Green
ICU. They are coming in
Yeah.
strong
Boy.
here. Whew.
That's what I like to see from Valak. Coming in with that DBS saying, I will not let you have the luxury of hope here, screams. I'm coming for you. There's no meds to you. Ooh, and look at it, Nate.
Oh, Nate goes
Somehow
down.
getting the knock still. But look at that third party from Control. I mean, JPEG using positioning in full swing here. He heard the shots. Third party opportunities lined up for him. And now ICU is extremely weakened here. Let's see.
And they've got
Wait.
zombie boys coming in from right behind them as well now, too. Oh, man. They are definitely in a bit of trouble. They drew a lot of attention to themselves.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, it's down to it looks like they were able to secure the revive on Juancho.
Yes, they did.
Bringing them back up to a 3-2. That's still, right on back to a pretty formidable opposition there. And I say it quite a bit, but I quote the scripture of Vin. It doesn't matter whether you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. If you're not able to get that thirst, it can often be like it never happened.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely. Oh, Golden Eagles and Zombie Boys are facing off up here to the north of where we were just looking at with that ICU and control situation. And
Ooh, I'll tell you what, I will get it from Mello and... Well, Mello's securing the revive, which means Piddles is in charge of this overwatch and cover fire. Currently, Piddles just preemptive boosting here. So that means that literally no one is covering this Mello Rise revive.
yeah,
Oh, and in Hyper being swallowed up in the distance, and I think Elimed.
crazy good
that
shots
correct?
there. Yes, yes, yep.
Oh my goodness.
Let's go
right.
see Emmer down. So it's a 3v3. Mello gets hit by Julio. Great
It's
shots
all
from the
riding-
side.
Nice.
Oh,
One
man.
eagle remains in the nest, and that is, ironically enough, their heaviest hitter from the matches. But look at his performance in round 4. Not responsible for a single one of the elims, but I think that Recaster blessed him right then and there.
Just a little bit.
because This is clearly a player who's shown us time and time again to be a comfortable in these close quarter confrontations, even as a solo. And look at him, not getting too eager for a thirst. With Zombie Boy's Julio getting this off angle, it would have absolutely, almost indefinitely been Rise's undoing if he were to go for those thirsts. His positioning was already almost entirely compromised there, but he goes prone and then quickly reorients for a side flank, repositions, and now look, he now has the high ground over Zombie. But any moments wasted at this point is essentially a mistake on his end.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
he knows it.
Oh, he
He's
took
not
a lot of
wasting.
damage there. He took a bit from that nade, and there, Julio definitely has the HP bonus here. Oh, and he is gonna wipe him. Rise almost pulled off the 1v3.
Yeah, so close.
Oh, it was
Well,
definitely a good try.
Looks like the Mist and GR Esports are, well, actually, the Mist is being focused on by members of ICU. And realistically,
yeah.
if you are ICU or Control Esports, there's a lot of gatekeep opportunities. Well, knowing what we know about the Deadeye's AJ's location, that could be problematic for him. But that's with Spectator 2020 vision. These
Exactly.
participants don't have that.
Yep.
So if I was ICU, I would be pretty hungry for a gatekeep. But look at this, Zuko already getting another takedown here.
Good angle for sure. Getting that knock on Vortex. Mist is scrambling to get their teammates picked back up. Tryout getting hit again. Zuko laying some great fire down this road here.
Oof. And with Control Esports just for fun and Deadeyes off in the distance. This is interesting because clearly Mist and ICU are going to focus in on one another. But if Control finishes off AJ of Deadeyes and doesn't know about Just for Fun Beans, I mean, it's almost an indefinite third party on ICU Mist.
Mm-hmm. Without question, it looks like that's what we are going to be seeing here soon. Tryout and Vortex trying to... Well, they're still in the blue here, and I think they actually do have a vehicle they can grab to get out of here. Is that correct?
Well, I will get eyes in the
I'm
sky
actually
above
not
them. I can
sure.
tell you right now, IC has no, the missed vehicle has exploded,
Yep, they do
but
not
they're
have
right on the
one.
edge of zone. I mean, they can. Well, I mean, it's stage 4. It's going to be a medium zone. It's not going to be something to wag your finger at, but it's not going to be an immediate life
Yeah,
trigger.
they definitely still have some time to get out of that for sure. Oh, Zombie
Getting
Boys
eyes
and
on
GR.
controls.
These guys
Oh,
have started to
no.
fight up to the north, and
Yeah, you're
Control's
right.
not far away either.
I just had a control perspective as they were taking shots, but you're right. It's the GR Zombie Boys altercation that they drove by to get those shots.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this. The Zombie Boys really trying to have a little high ground advantage over members of GR. But as our boy Knox was saying in chat, high ground does not always be an advantageous position. And let me be perfectly clear, that is entirely true. You know, I never would imply that high ground is guaranteed advantage, especially in a scenario like we were just watching, where it's that high ground geographical advantage over a low ground compound wall cover. You know, in those standoffs, it can really vary on a case by case.
Yes, definitely a good point there. And not only that, if you do have high ground, sometimes you can be an easier target for those teams in the area too.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on the topography of the map that you're talking about, things like that.
And the zone, just everything is context.
Without question.
Number of players remaining, zone.
Oh, Tryout tried to make it. Tryout and Vortex both tried to make it to the edge of zone, come right into a Zombie Boys wall, who just finished them off.
Gone. Clear skies now, baby. Mist is gone. And now we got Dauntless pushing in on Icy. Salty swallowing some warning fire, and Dauntless Pain and Salty spread out. It's a 2-1 split, and just like that, you are about to see that coin in the back pocket in the shape of Salty, because that should have been a one take everyone out. Salty's little over eagerness to get out of that vehicle gave them a couple extra seconds.
It did.
But
Yep.
that was almost counterproductive to even talk about when they just eliminated him right after.
Just so much going on here. The chaos. They almost found a safe area, but ICU was sitting in that perfect spot waiting to light the shots off on him. Valak getting the res off on Zuko after he went down, taking down that last member of...
and Rush 0.7. Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, Valak and the rest of ICU still a full 3-piece here, but no one is in zone yet. So before I forget, I do want to say this. You know, very often it's a rush for premium real estate, but never more so the case than on Miramar, and where these late in-game zones can have often do have 0 compounds to choose from.
Yes.
But they have a lot of geographical difference, like a lot of high ground, low ground variations. So that quick push in can honestly be a team's undoing. So if there's ever 2 maps that I expect people to be a little bit more hesitant on, granted, context is key, but Sanhok is a very critical one. You have to assess the field as it currently is. How many people are there? What sort of
Yes,
is there?
definitely a good point there. That's such a huge part of it too. Oh, we're coming in. Zombie Boys have moved in position above ICU. Julio had a great bit of cover, but gets taken down and finished with a nade. Back-to-back Wancho. Beautiful nade there.
Well, Zombie Boys is down to their final zombie, and his biggest concern right now is, you know, he's got Deadeyes beneath him. Currently, ICU wouldn't be able to catch wind of his location, but he is going to be swallowing blue juice, and that next zone is going to just rain.
Hit hard. Yes, absolutely. Oh, here they come. Blade just got hit in the back by that Zombie Boys member.
Yeah, see, that blue zone already started doing serious work.
Yep, too little, too late.
What it started, the participants were able to finish. Shifu with a takedown of his own, getting the knock on Zuko, quickly reorienting his attention to Valak, and now ICU is down to their final hope. Juancho desperately trying to secure a revive on his fallen teammate Valak.
He will be able to at least get one off, it looks like.
I mean, there's not much chance of him going outside of the safe zone and the safety of this boulder here.
Ooh, Shifu got hit straight through the smoke there. Wancho lasers him through that.
And this is a big problem, because even if Blade were to go back and get a revive successfully, it wouldn't be enough time to get back into the new zone as it shifted. So realistically, once ICU had that knock, I think the game was as good as won.
I believe you are correct about that. ICU, not a bad round at all from there. They're going to come in and drop 11 eliminations on their way to that chicken dinner. Fantastic finish for them. Way to hold off because Wancho was facing elimination there. And
but here's the thing, man. You look at players like Go, Juancho, Valak, and they, regardless of, the teams that they have been on, the different teams, I think every one of those 4 players, if memory serves me correct, I've, praised and condemned them for being, unpredictable. And this is one of the things where it'll be in the praise region, just the ability to some matches perform underwhelming. Not really not anything that is worth taking 5 minutes to talk about, but then they will completely have an incredible locker room talk, or maybe they all halftime. But yeah, whoever's giving them their team leader pep talk as they moved into round 4 clearly saw a different ICU than in the previous 2 matches. But it is the ICU that we saw in previous stages of this season event. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, because I believe when I was tuning in a couple days ago, we were watching ICU being one of the more predicted winners for quite a lot of matches. So I do think that, especially in terms of Valak and Nate, those are 2 players that, if they are in their zone, God help the person that is on the receiving end. Yes. If they're not in their zone, then they actually are pretty susceptible to mistakes, making split-second mistakes. But
I'll say
find
this.
Their flow.
With ICU, they were one team that I was very surprised to see be in the bottom 6 and get relegated down here. They were really close to making it, and I think they just had a little bit of bad luck in the final rounds of the previous round. They were really close, and I think that has absolutely lit a fire under them, giving them some motivation to come out and really frag out. We did see them taking on some big fights earlier on, although they didn't quite come out on top of the same amount of frags earlier on in the night, but it worked out really well for them. They are definitely starting to feel their flow, starting to be a little more comfortable with how they're playing.
Yeah, and I mean, this is going to be kind of the telltale for a team that has played on the conditional. Now that they've got a late start to a momentum builder, what's going to happen as we move back into Erangel? Kind of all the trouble has been seeming to brew. Well, only time will tell.
Absolutely. I'm excited for this last round coming up here. It is going to be one more on Erangel, guys. I hope y'all are ready for it. It's going to be crazy. These teams, like we said earlier, there hasn't been one team that's really come out. I mean, 9Z was doing really well.
It looked like it was going to be a 9Z steal.
But
and then thank goodness for round 3, an early game, knock them on their butt, knock the king off the hill at the beginning.
And I love to see that too, for sure. Exactly.
Yeah,
it's an even fight.
From observer's point, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I can't tell you how many times, we sit in, as a commentator, it can be hard to establish a sense of urgency. And, say, like, for instance, I just did Ivy League, and the leading team literally more than doubled second place with over a day in advance. So, to add a pressure factor that isn't there can be tough. So thank you guys for kind of putting that flick into 9Z and keeping them on their toes. And I think we did just witness, a little bit of that confidence, cockiness juxtaposition, where it's a healthy balance. You got to find a middle ground between those two.
Definitely.
And,
yeah.
Well, we'll see if they can come back from it.
Well said there. Well said for sure. We're going to keep a close eye on both of those teams that we just highlighted, ICU and 9Z. There's some other teams that do have potential to come out too.
And a whole nother day ahead of this. So the tides can still be turned. I mean, especially since, as you said, there's not really a team that has stolen the show yet. We thought there would be, but there hasn't. So realistically, as long as there doesn't seem to be someone escaping with the event, and there's 3 teams that have the potential for it currently based on overall place. As long as there's not that, this is fair game.
Yeah, and we love to see that for sure. Just the fact that it's still anybody's match. It's not like we're sitting there knowing that one team is going to win all of this, guys. Lots of question marks out there. And even still, some of these other teams that could come out of left field because it has been relatively quiet the past few rounds. 9Z, we know that they're up there, but ICU could get overtaken too with one team coming out, dropping a lot of limbs in one match. One of these teams who hasn't quite performed at their best ability just yet. That's absolutely a possibility. That's what I love about these last chance lobbies.
I'm not even gonna start condemning in hyper until day 2. I'm just gonna say that
because you can't count them out. You absolutely
because
can't count
they
them
have
out.
come back so many times to shut me up that I am left choking on my words.
Well, we'll see. We're definitely gonna have a close eye on them here in this last round, and of course going into day 2, guys. But yes, for now we're gonna go ahead get into this lobby. We will be back here very, very shortly with more action and map 5 on Erangel. All right. We'll see you guys soon. Okay, everybody, coming back in right now. Match 5 beginning. Let's see what we got in store.
Okay, well, not the most ideal flight path to start with, but it's not really one that's going to be a concerning issue to anyone. Even I'm saying that pre-zone, this is a pretty accommodating path. I mean, there's plenty of drop spots, about the same one that I think we had fairly similar in round 1. So yeah, we got a lot of early drop spot options. I do expect, the Yasnaya, Pachinki, Rozhawk, Prison, Mansion, that sort of cluster around the midpoint of the map to probably get the most attention. But as you can see here, we're already getting quite a few late path droppers. We got 9Z, Rude Dudes, and ICU all heading towards that same spot. And action already on the board in the shape of Deadeye's guys versus Zombie Boys.
Oh, let's go see what's happening with that. Yes, Leon already on the ground.
Yep. Pardon me, Just for Fun and Zombie Boys.
Ah, yes.
So I have the different color code.
Yes.
On there with the different shades.
I see that. Okay, well, there we go. We do have these guys right next to each other in the in the school apartments area. I almost get the zombie apartments area.
Well, we got, see, these are new names for Just for Fun.
Yes.
To me.
No, yes. Same.
Yeah, because, all right, so I mean, Just for Fun is a team that has really ridden the top cream of the crop for the tier 2 bracket. We can talk about teams like Just for Fun and Old Gangsters, who have really ridden that cusp of tier 2 to tier 1, top tier 2, bottom tier 1. But so much potential on the board, and taking eyes on Bye Bye, who just wrecks into Zombie Boys right there, who did, in fairness, make it pretty far into the previous match. So being knocked off their rocker like that pretty early on, it definitely seems to be at least as strong of a Just for Fun team, if not stronger than the previous years.
We also seen a situation that they took the fight on right off the drop, and maybe they weren't quite as equipped as they would have liked to been there. Maybe they didn't quite get those helmets and that. Yep, and that definitely can affect that as well. So Zombie Boys did come up short on that one. Just for Fun starts out well with 4 limbs here, taking this school apartments area.
Well, Baton, the nade taken out in Hyper's FSS. He tries to escape.
No.
It's all riding on Gaji, the final hope for In Hyper right now. And remember what? I just gotta stop caster cursing.
Wow.
I really do. But
I can't believe we just saw that. I am kind of at a loss for words right now, because I was literally about to go and comment the fact that they had a full 4-man. Golden Eagles brings the fight to them early and confidently.
Those talons are sharp, my dude. Those talons are sharp. The Eagles, and that again, we were talking in game 2. These at the pro bracket, when you're up against another pro team, these are the people that you're closest with, that you're learning the most from. You're only really improving from those people. You're not, and I said this, a couple times recently, but I don't think I've said it today. You don't improve the most on days where things are going well. You improve on the days where you recognize that they didn't go their best. And so, teams like In Hyper, again, just not a panicking team. They just aren't. They know how to handle pressure, and they've had pressure recently that was, makes this look like a flick of the wrist,
100%.
Versus, a global audience with the whole world watching. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. So they know how to be patient. Now, what the In Hyper we see in game 1 of tomorrow will tell us if there's even a possibility of that kind of underdog comeback.
That's a great point. You said it earlier, day 2, that we have absolutely seen them storm back from a slow start to really perform very well. Maybe not take the #1 spot overall, but they have absolutely dominated some of these with a day where they kind of struggled to start out. So definitely not counting them out at all just yet. Oh, I see Just for Fun in a fight. Let's go.
I got it on the alt cam right now. Sin stopped, perched on the hilltop, and just quick clapped the evacuating team in a vehicle And now, just for fun, working their way up to 5 elims, and 3 out of the 5, 60% of those are by the 2 members still up. And operating at all as a 2-piece in this level of competition at the last match of the day, that takes a certain level of comfort. And to say, that this is looking like a pretty a pretty strong just for fun team, even as a 2-piece of Sin and Bye Bye, I mean, who knows what the future could hold for when you have kind of the weight of the tier 2 bracket on yours and maybe 2 other teams' shoulders, like the top cream of the crop, the teams that have, been synergizing for 2 to 3 years now. And I think it's just for fun.
Yes.
And Old Gangsters, if I'm not mistaken, they just took the victory for the campus championship.
Yes, that's one of I've been covering Old Gangsters for a long time, since Open Scrims years ago. So yes,
Gosh,
and it really does speak to it. Just because these guys aren't consistently going in at a T1 level, it doesn't take away from it at all. Some of these tier 2 squads and the action that they see.
What you just said is the biggest, like, that can be overlooked so quickly, but what did Hyper do differently from every other team in North America? Well, they did not kick members after a bad PMGC. What they did is Chiefin, in his calculative mathematical wisdom, he assesses everything so calculative. And all of Hyper does. They are in it for the long haul, and that is why when other teams are constantly swapping out and making roster changes, one team stayed, to build their synergy with one another, work with the teammates that they know and enjoy being around, and perfecting it over the long haul. And that is why in the NA bracket, now that Koops and Xenox are no longer really are stars shining in the sky for NA, the Hyper really is the tier above the rest in terms of
well said,
strategic,
Yes.
cold, calculative, and boy, do they have it down to a T. And we didn't see it at all today.
No, we didn't. And very surprising. We do know that they can put it on display when needed, but yes, I mean, to speak. Ooh, do we have another fight happening?
Yep.
Let's
Control
see.
and Tacos having at it here.
Let's go see Taco
It's
Lovers.
gonna
We haven't
be-
seen them too much today.
Robin. Oh, they just got a knock on Pika, so it's Body, Robin, and J-Pack remaining as a 3-piece in a 2-1 split surrounding the likes of the Taco Lovers. With Fadi and Thursday at each other's throat, the nade crashes on Fadi down to just above half health, and now we've got 2 single standoffs here. Robin has been rendered useless by Doodle being on that roof.
It looks like,
And
yes, and it looks like Robin is, or JPK's not even in this area, I just realized. I was going to say, where's their last
he's
member?
The coin in the back pocket, and as much as wow, a little spray and pray. Well, if you're gonna spray and pray, what better than a shotgun bullet spray?
Yep.
From that kind of range,
That
with the
S12.
DBS, even was.
I think it was. I heard the silence on it
It was
anyways.
an
One of them
S12.
had it. Yep.
So I don't have any sound on my feed. I don't know if that can be resolved, but the S12, yeah, it's still a formidable threat, but from that kind of distance, the knock from it with an S12 at that distance, from 10 feet away, yeah, he was attacking an already weak person.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
the DBS, that could be, from that distance. Who knows what the health was looking like, if it was that close. But ICU and missed. Well,
Let's see
there's
what's
only
happening with
one
these
lone
two.
wolf.
Yeah, it's just
in the
Wolf here
forefront.
against a full
Vortex
squad
is
of
now-
ICU members. That's a terrifying situation to be in.
Yeah, but what is Mist doing here with such a spread? Oh, okay,
Yes.
they're not as. Wolf is just a little bit ahead of his team, and I don't know why they're feeling so comfortable spread out.
Yeah, lots of confidence with this play right here. Man went right up on this
And
hill, was taking shots.
Yeah, I don't say it for the sake of criticism or like anything more than objective criticism, but I feel like you need to be able to feel confident as a singular unit, as a team, before feeling confident as a solo. And even if you are confident in the solo setting, you gotta focus and prioritize that team strategy
Absolutely.
over And that there just clearly was not a lot of coordination there in that time. However, look at their ability to alleviate that. I mean,
Yeah, it actually worked out for them surprisingly. I did think
Yeah.
we were going to see a bigger fight there. I
but
believe.
that unfortunately that talks about more about the conditionality of ICU than it does about the strategic play from Mist. Unfortunately, in this case.
Yes, no, absolutely. You have a great point there. And I'm wondering if them losing Wancho and Zuko, well, they lost Zuko just there, or they lost Wancho there. I'm wondering if the losing Zuko early on affected that. Maybe they would have stayed back and taken that fight on a lot more confidently than they would have with the way it just went down.
Yeah, I mean, I said it at the end of the last match. It's just, yeah, that their burden to carry is that conditionality, that duality between their confidence and their reservation. And I'm not talking about confidence and cockiness. I'm talking about confidence. They can very quickly become overconfident. This particular team, especially, Nate. Do you remember when Nate had all eyes of PUBG Mobile esports community?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And there really couldn't. There's nothing he could do without being criticized about something by somebody, regardless if So there's always going to be something that can be said here.
Of course.
Oh, Valak.
Valak gets hit hard, and the Mists have not backed off that. These guys were exchanging fire earlier, and they've tracked him down.
And this is once again, Vortex ahead of his team, or are they together? I tried to switch over.
Let's see.
Yeah, no, Neverside able to get up there and secure the thirst on Valak. And Wolf is just beneath him. Yeah, they are a singular unit. Okay.
Yep, they did push together.
Maybe what I had done previously was over-describe what maybe had been coincidence. Because they clearly are pushing out now, but all that noise and commotion basically put a spotlight in the sky. And Mist is being focused on.
Taco Lovers.
Tuesday came early.
Here we go. Thursday at the full squad push right now. This is
Nate. Get out of there. Get out of there.
Oh my goodness. Tuesday got hit with a nice counter nade though. Surprisingly, that was I think Vortex that threw it.
Yeah.
And Nate's throwing some out here as well. Or maybe that's Wolf?
He shouldn't. No, he didn't. He's not.
That's Wolf.
Not moving an inch. But Nate should get out and get out now. No worries about a third party. Yeah, there's tons of kills on the board here, but there's a chance to not lose all the progress you made last match. Nate, there's a Wait,
yes.
There is a bit. Well, no, the only way he's.
It's going to be tough. If he does try to over-push this, it's going to be an easy squad wipe. But if he times it...
overextend that. But look at this.
Ooh, Neverside is feeling it with his DVS!
And now it's down to Tuesday. That should never have happened.
Oh, wow. I am so surprised that Taco Lovers allowed that.
Yeah, that's mistakes. Mistakes were made. You can't boil that down to bad luck. Mistakes were certainly made. Those split-second decisions, talk about Nate not presenting himself on a platter there. I think myself, even though I know that wouldn't be a play to make, I don't think I'd be able to resist the temptation to throw a nade.
Same.
And
it's
this just comes down sometimes with experience at this high pressure situation.
You can see Nate's experience right now. He has sat there still as a stone this whole time. I saw him throwing nades, but you make that one move, you alert that squad next door, and you get full scent on. So absolutely. You mentioned it earlier, knowing when to not do something. Nate is really showing that right now. I mean, he could engage right now, but the fact that he had almost 7 other players next to him with the Taco Lovers in that other fight.
Granted, that yes, now would have a weekend Taco Tuesday would have been Nate's time to push, but there's no way for him to have known that that entire layout or how weekend Tuesday was, or that it was just Tuesday remaining. He could have seen the elims in the board, but he doesn't see the graphic on the screen when a team is
exactly. He doesn't have that perfect vision.
Yeah, we've got the scouting info. We've got the ABAC, ABB cheat codes. And now Rush Point here. And yeah, there's Rush Point in a little love triangle, just helping out with this GR Esports sandwich. But
Oh, yes.
Pika with an off angle. I'm gonna get my eyes on. Oh, you have the same idea. You have GR.
Yep, I'm gonna go look at Leon over here. He's got a nice high ground looking in towards Rusher 7.
Look at rush point. Look at their spread. Look at how well positioned. Even then, even if bullets, vetoes, and gracious, if I could just, and Pikas, even if bullet, vetoes, and Pikas were taken out, they've got another coin in the back pocket who is still within Overwatch range here, and that's Cog.
Great
Cog
angle.
working on Tuesday.
Yep.
And Tuesday is...
just barely survived that.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a good move. One more little tap. So Tuesday keeps the taco lovers alive. And
Yeah,
then,
well, I mean-
we have a big fight going on over here too with Golden Eagles NA and 9Z full sending it. Elite
Yeah, it's...
with that S12.
So we got ourselves a 2v3 now. It's going to be Mellow and Rise. Simple and Imzu. And look at Rise's positioning. The enemy that you don't know about, the devil on the rooftop here.
That is a great spot.
Yeah, and honestly, even though he got that knock on Simple, I don't know if Simple staring in the direction. And yep, he was not, because he did not relay that in.
Great angle.
And now Rise and Mellow, from having the numbers against their favor, now have it 2-1 if they don't hesitate. And Mellow trying to add a little insult to injury.
Gets Simple
with a
knocked.
nade onto Taco.
Very nice. Denies Simple from
Chaco.
healing up.
Yeah, and yep, they are going to push, but they did allow for one revive. I think.
Yes, they did indeed. Let's hope this doesn't come back to haunt them. They're going to have to really finish them off quick. Oh, Rise takes a lot of damage from that.
S12. No room for error.
Mellow.
Oh, and Mellow is down. It's
Rise
all
against
on the
Elite.
Rise. Yeah, but at that point, that wasn't an error by Rise. He just did not have the health in his favor at that point. So,
No, he did not.
There was no way of avoiding that confrontation at that point and being able to heal up before a push, unless, if he did, I think we would have both gone crazy if they both just healed up, holding opposite ends of a corner.
I think, yes, I definitely would have lost my mind. The impatience would have killed me. Oh, Dauntless moving in past this right now. 9Z
Getting a little
quick.
warning from 9Z.
Yep, they were quick to respond to that. They say, hey, we see you, Klaus, back up.
Well, with ICU eliminated from the match, there's only a couple. Oh, I take that back. We still got. Okay, the coin in the back pocket.
Nate's still in it.
Here's the thing. Nate is keeping the dream alive. He might not have a little elim at the end. It's okay. All that matters is that, if he's able to acquire some placement, those are points and placement that are relieving the burden of what happened at the beginning.
Yes.
They made so much progress in match 4 that if Nate was not able to somehow dodge those essentially bad luck, being surrounded by 2 teams in an open field, he laid low and now has another shot to give his team some placement.
It's really going to benefit them in the long run. They're going to be able to build on something here, at least get a few placement points, I believe, now that we're in the top 9. I believe they at least get 1. Of course, they want to get a few more to build on to what they have already done here. All right.
Taco Tuesday's being pushed.
Let's
by
see.
rushers. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Hey, you are good. Let's go and check this out. You are absolutely right. It's Tuesday. Who's going to try to hold off a 1v4?
He's not gonna.
Oh.
Did he get 3 members of Rush?
And you see that Rusher 7, they could have just sent one person in there to clear out that building. They were meticulous about that. They weren't going to let one person take them down. They weren't going to let a solo undercut them.
But they almost did.
They almost did. You're right. Yes, they did.
That's the thing, you're gonna say that they weren't gonna. Yeah, they pushed in there as a unit to avoid that, and it still almost happened. And that's not that. And we've seen that Rush Point is very much a contender here, so that's not condemning them. Just boy.
That was crazy for
Wow.
sure. I mean, good way to lock it down. You see what could have happened there. That lone member could have absolutely taken out some members, could have removed some of the wind from Rusher 7's sails here, because they're flying right now. They're definitely feeling good with 5 elims here coming into this 5th
And now they're
stage.
just spreading out, working these numbers in their favor. When we were talking about, solos, well, J-Pack of Control being pushed on by a full squad of 9, or a full 2-piece of 9P. or 9Z.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And simple, keeping it simple, not going to change up the formula too much. And S18 to the face sounds the same in every language. Nades being thrown out.
Trying to hit Bolitz here. They know that Rusher 7 is over here. They saw the vehicle.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Look at the spread here. This in-game zone, not a single building, and to take it a step further, Beans, water literally occupying some of the almost nothing to choose from. And furthermore, there is so much elevation variety here that anyone who's got the high ground at this point has the advantage, especially when you look at the zone shift. The blue zone is at the heels on the western front of this zone, meaning that the odds of someone being pushing in from behind them, it's at its slimmest.
Yes.
The majority of teams pushing in are going to be pushing in from the east or the north or south. So realistically, F29's got phenomenal position and just an overwatch over what could be the entirety of the playing.
That's a great point right there. Oh, as we say that though, Manny was able to catch an angle on Relax. And they are a little bit spread out over here, but Spotlight was there with them. You see they're split up.
But they're split, but split with a purpose because, it's getting those multiple lines of sight, but they're not splitting so much so the 2-2 split is, time tested and true.
Yep.
So it's that.
And they're showing it's going to work right there. Relax getting picked up right away. Klaus gets lit up there by Manny. Here comes Titan with a return nade. Going to try to hit these Dauntless members. And cooked it a little too long. Oh, but F29 and Rusher 7 over on the other side while we're watching this fight.
Tell you what, I'll go to F29 and Rushers.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got bullets being rocked in the face. He was quick switch into that DBS. We already know what he had in mind, but just stopped in his tracks. It's left reliant upon Cog and Vito's, and this is looking rough. But remember what we said. When compound cover can become few and far between, those utilities are great. It can be that difference maker between life and death, and those are run out. Those vehicles at the absolute end stage game could be the only thing blocking the sometimes. So I think R7 playing this pretty strategically. Now the thing is that they're playing with a team that the confidence of a team that has performed maybe the way that Nines.
Yes, you're right. They are absolutely playing with a lot of swagger right now, a lot of confidence, and you see it just by the way they're pushing in, the way that when they separate. I mean, the way that they kind of go and they solo it up a little bit when we were looking how they were playing Roz earlier. Yeah, absolutely. Even now down to a duo, they're still playing very confidently here, putting big shots on F29 where they are not quite engaging 9Z above them.
Yeah,
but they don't have a view of them yet.
I honestly, I was directly above 9Z and I couldn't find them because they were right beneath. But realistically, yeah, 9Z positioning. There is a little bit of building cover here. So the best positioning is either going to go to 9Z or Dauntless. And it begs the question, high ground geographical advantage or low ground compound cover. Which one is which? In this case, I don't think that the Rudu or that 9Z has enough elevation to be able to cure a thirst if they knock someone inside the building.
They're still
that they won't be able to look through the window after they knock.
Yep.
They'll be so realistically the best positioning being contested for already between Dauntless.
Yeah, that is absolutely a great point. They have good hills over there too, a bit of that hard cover right ahead of them if they can. Oh, but look at this member. It's just Pain and this member here of Dauntless left standing after Salty got knocked. If they can clear Rude Dudes, they'll be feeling good. Yes, sir.
Is this Pain of Forsaken Gaming?
I think this is former Pain of C4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because the only reason I was asked is that I thought that number 9, something about it. I did think that I had heard that he may have gotten drafted up into T1. And I was also hearing something actually some 2021 players may be making a comeback. I don't want to overshare anything.
Love to hear that.
Our ears to the esports rabbit hole. We'll see what happens.
Love to hear some OGs coming back for sure.
Yeah, I think you are right about Pain. That would make a lot more sense being on particular team.
So we do have them up to, they were able to get Salty picked back up. So Dauntless sitting here as a trio, feeling good.
That's an error on Rude Dude's, though. Rude Dude should not have given them that ability.
Absolutely agree.
What chance are you waiting for?
Mm-hmm.
The odds to be even? Well, they were even for a brief moment.
They gave up the leverage.
Out.
They gave up all the leverage they had by letting Dauntless take that building next to him. Jas is down. Manny is going to go down next. It was that Dauntless member that got the squad wipe.
Look at 9Z. They're about to use, you know, when they don't have the numbers, they have the high ground. And look at them just being patient. And now they're down to the final two teams.
What a
and even
simple.
the odds. Bird, one stone. Oh, one bird, one stone. Cast your curse. Now it's two birds.
Wow.
King and Relax versus Elite and Simple. Elite is all that remains.
1v2 situation here. And Elite gets hit.
Things have happened today.
Oh, not able to pull off the crazy comeback we thought maybe was going to happen. F29 does end up locking it down and finishing them off.
But Beans, what do I like about this? I like that F29, you know, a team who hasn't necessarily stolen any of the matches, you know, attention from us. They've definitely performed fairly consistent, but they've had a lot of slip-ups. Well, they end the day with a chicken dinner, and this is important. You know, it's not like winning match 3 or match 4. This is the last one that people have in their head. And so F29 really keeping this a guessing game for us of who is going to be the team to really kind of run away with outlier number of eliminations. Well, I mean, if you look at F29, they got first place with 7 elims. And remember what I was saying about an average takeaway, a good, strong, healthy performance, you know, and a first place chicken dinner, you're looking in the 15 to 20 point range.
Yeah.
Now, 9Z, over 50 points in 2 matches, and now add to it 6 elims and a second place finish. That's a 14-point gain to the one team that you just know you don't want getting any more points for the day. They were so close to really grasping one more chicken dinner over half the day's matches. Stopped in their tracks a little bit. You know, it's kind of like that bouncer putting his hand on your shoulder. Hey,
whoa.
No.
Yeah, calm down there.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. If they had taken that third one in a row, that would have been that boost. We talked about it earlier. Some of these teams come out, they get that huge lead come out, and then they can just ride that the rest of the way comfortably to the next round. With them only taking 2 now, although they were pretty close to that one, they do have a nice lead. There are still some teams that at least have the potential to come back, and that's why day 2 is going to be really important.
I mean, realistically, we're only talking about a 2-point difference of 9Z. Actually, I guess the 3-point difference if they gotten the elim and the win. It's not about the point gap here between first and second. It's about what sort of message does, because this is a mental game as well as it is, you know, hands-eye coordination. This is a mental battle here with everyone else on the playing field, and to win over, you know, 3 out of 5 matches is going to be, it would have been a gray cloud following every other participant that didn't stand in that realm of taking it back. It would have meant probably at least 1 to 2 teams no showing, or 1 to 2 teams dropping and then just walking away. You know, we've seen it when there's no hope and you just try to not be disqualified.
It's that morale.
Yeah. Well, sportsmanship is, you know, a real thing that I think is underappreciated here. But from perspective of Beans and I, commentators and event organizers, I'll pick good sportsmen over, you know, reputable pros any day.
Same.
If I know that they're going to stick it out and participate. And I think what just happened here really stopped this from being a mental attack on every other participant as they move forward into round 2. So meaning that tomorrow is still anyone's game. F29 is not stealing any shows from this dub. And realistically, 9Z is not complaining about a nice 14-point gain in one match. That is the equivalent of riding a first place victory, you know, as well. It's around that average. But it is saying, you know what, they're human, proven it in match 3 and 4 as well. And we set that tone as the final thing that the final bullet was cast by F29, not by 9.
Yes, it was a bit surprising there. When we were watching that go down, I actually did think we were potentially going to see the 1v3 pulled off just because of how well 9Z's been playing today. And that's not to take anything away from F29. Y'all did a great job finishing it off, but they have really been playing well. But yeah, guys.
Dauntless.
Yeah, Dauntless at the end there. That was very surprising.
This is the Dauntless that you and I know.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Dauntless that we know, and I hadn't seen him so far today. I said, Dauntless with a 9 elim match. Yeah, third place, but 9 elims between 3 of their players. If they keep up that sort of balance between patience and aggression, I think because it's all about finding that healthy line. That line changes based on your roster and the context of the map. But this, the Dauntless that we expected to see, and currently, want to be technical, Dauntless comes out of the last match with 15 points, which is the exact same breakaway as 9Z.
Mm-hmm.
So they literally, that
they
point differential, that elim differential, yeah, they're right neck and neck. And so 9Z, I mean, honestly, whoever their IGL is,
big props.
Rewatch the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Rewatch the stream. See what slipped up, what did not pan out so well in 3 and 4, but what did you do well in rounds 1 and 2, and recalibrate and study, because you got a lot riding on tomorrow. You could dominate the show. You could still dominate the show, or you could be kind of left to be the needle that falls into the hay.
Yes.
Amongst all these other needles.
Absolutely.
That is the worst way of butchering that analogy.
No, but you're right. You don't want to. You don't want to be left behind there. You don't want to build all that momentum up just for it to be for nothing.
Yeah,
and
it wouldn't
that
be
can
left
happen.
behind,
Mm-hmm.
but it would be like you've set up the potential for this to be an outlier. So, with tomorrow still having 5 more matches, 5 chances to finish this and make sure that you work your way to the grand finals, where it's all going to be duked out,
Mm-hmm.
and realistically 5 matches is all the chances that you're going to have left. If you can set the tone, match 1 tomorrow is where we're going to know if N-Hyper came to play, or if they came to not be disqualified or from future seasons.
There you go.
Tomorrow, first match is when we're going to know if 9Z came to make this an absolute statement to the playing field, or if 9Z came to make this a fair, just a contest. Either one's okay, but
it's a good narrative that we're going to keep an eye on for sure with those 2 teams. Absolutely going to be a lot of eyes on N-Hyper tomorrow after today's performance. But yes, guys, what a great first day of coverage it was here for this last chance lobby. One thing I was calling out tomorrow's broadcast, it's actually Friday, guys. That's my mistake.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Friday. No, that was on me because I was doing it too.
Again, it shouldn't be this easy to convince me.
I speak so confidently.
Hey, man, what better way to send the frags home than frag out on Friday? You have, honestly, the last chance. It's the last chance you're going to have to qualify for the grand finals of the PUBG Mobile Control Invitational Season 3. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget. I believe Season 4 is going to be underway soon, probably, or at least be in the making. So if you guys have not joined the PUBG Mobile Control Invitational's Discord server, be sure to hop in, be on the lookout for future events, because Beans Brigade is constantly pushing out tons of community opportunities for the NA community, and tournaments like this. Community tournaments are the transition to professional league. So, these are where stars are formed before they really take on their final. Before you become that diamond, you got to be a coal that's hammered down, and heated up. This is where
this is that crucible.
Where stars are bred.
Yep.
Yeah,
well said.
And community events are so often overlooked in their importance, but I think we're finally starting to see, what you guys have done with the Control Invitational, presenting real opportunities for that transition into the professional bracket with the audience eyes on you. That is, I mean, guys, you're not going to get chances like that at community events prior to this. This is really something special. And I think if you are, you know, for teams, like we were talking about Old Gangsters or Forsaken Gaming, if your team ride that really high end tier 2 bracket, were made for you to come out of that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, man.
5 matches to leave your mark. 5 matches left of your last chance before we move on to those grand finals, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Black Eyed Peas cover band, the Red Eyed Beans, and you know, you can see us performing tonight at Tucker's Bowling Alley. You know, to audience of almost half dozen. So
It's gonna be an epic performance, guys.
Sold out show.
Make sure y'all show up for that one. All right.
Alrighty, guys.
But yes, guys.
Can't wait to see you tomorrow.
Yep. Red Eyes, thank you so much for joining me on here, man. It was great. Excited for Friday. And yes,
you, brother.
guys,
Yeah,
7 p.m.
Friday.
Eastern time. All right. We will see y'all for that one. Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, guys.